The following program may contain coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the 2018 Polaris Music Prize Gala, featuring performances by Jean-Michel Blais, Jeremy Dutcher, Pierre Kwenders, Hubert Lenoir, Partner, Snotty Nose Rez Kids, US Girls, and Weaves. To introduce the first nominee of the night, here is Tanya Tagak.
The way they completely recontextualize music, it's a singular sound, and there's playful elements. They're so tight but so fluid. Like, it always is that feeling like there's juice that's about to spill off the side of the table. Like that very fun feeling, and her lyrics are incredible. They're wonderful human beings. They treat each other with respect. They treat music with respect, and I personally think Jasmine is the type of person who was born with that talent. Like, it wouldn't matter how much you practiced. You can't be a queen like that on stage without just being born into talent, and they're just the real deal. It's some of my favorite music that's being produced in Canada right now, and I just all for them, 100%. I got them 100% every time the rest of our lives. I don't care. Oh, I got chills.
Tell you something. I gotta tell you something. Tripping me up. I got a feeling it's nothing. I got a feeling it's nothing. Trying to kill all of us. Just a nomad on the land that don't belong to any of us. So it might take me a little longer, a little longer, a little longer to say what I want to say. Oh, Are you trying to sell me something to make me bleed? You got a request, it's the time for requesting. If you want something from my body, you're just a person watching your life unfolding. It moves so fast, it's like taking speed. I'm simply a creature who's creating a portrait of this combustion that's been thrust on me. It's wide open. It's wide open. It's wide open.
What a way to start the show. Weaves, everybody. Welcome to the 13th annual Polaris Music Prize Gala presented by CBC Music. I'm Raina Duras, host of Mornings on CBC Music. So happy to be here with you tonight at the spectacular Carlu in Toronto. It's very fancy. The one time of year I'm allowed in the building. It's great to be here. We've got so many of Canada's best musicians here. I can see so many of you out there tonight. And to be honest, it's nice to see you on this side of the bar for once here in Toronto. We are here to honor the 10 albums shortlisted for this year's Polaris Music Prize. At the end of the night, with the help of last year's winner, Lido Pimienta, we will announce the 2018 Polaris Music Prize winner, who will be awarded $50,000. But first, we'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, and most recently the territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation. The territory was the subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. This territory is also covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. Today, the meeting place of Toronto, from the Haudenosaunee word Caronto, is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, so thank you. We are grateful. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. We are here tonight to honor this year's shortlist nominees. They are Alvvays, Antisocialites, Jean-Michel Blais, Dans Ma Main, Daniel Caesar, Freudian, Jeremy Dutcher, Wolastoqiyik, Lintuwakonawa, Pierre Kwenders, MAKANDA at the End of Space, the Beginning of Time, Hubert Lenoir, Darlène, Partner, In Search of Lost Time, Snotty Nose Rez Kids, The Average Savage, U.S. Girls in a Poem Unlimited, and Weaves, Wide Open. Here's how it's gonna work. The winner will be determined tonight by our grand jury, who are deliberating and voting right now at this very moment. They're sequestered away here in a secret vault at the Carlu. The artists they select will be awarded $50,000. All runners-up will each receive $3,000 courtesy of Slaight Music. Thank you, Slaight Music. While the jury battles it out, we are going to see and hear firsthand what they are here fighting for tonight. 8 of the 10 shortlist artists are performing. They all have something special planned just for you. We are streaming tonight's entire gala, including every musical performance, live online at cbcmusic.ca and via CBC Music on YouTube and Facebook. If you're in the audience here in the building and you'd rather watch it on your phone, that's where you can find it. CBC Music is proud to partner with the Polaris Music Prize for an exceptional night celebrating the best in Canadian music. And if you are tweeting along here or at home, please use the hashtag Polaris2018 to join the conversation. In a moment, we have a performance by the incredible pianist Jean-Michel Blais. But first, to tell us why he loves Daniel Caesar's Freudian so damn much, here is Babyface.
The good thing about Daniel Caesar is that he is giving R&B a future. You feel a little bit the old school part of it, but at the same time, it's with a new voice, a new point of view from his world and his generation. The lyrics are different and the phrases are a little different, but the feel is the same, which is why so many people have gravitated to him. He's speaking to a new generation, but he's giving them the feelings of those records that we used to love. It caught me by surprise. I hadn't heard anyone that sounded like that in a long time. and that had so much passion and pain in the voice and just so much emotion. So I expect for him to mess with other genres of music as well, because I think he's that kind of writer, not just for himself, but for others as well. So I look forward to seeing him grow. I think if you want to feel good, if you want to listen to something that just makes you feel good, even though it might be sad music sometimes, if you just want to feel good, then listen to Daniel.
How cool was that? Babyface. Talking about Daniel Caesar. Daniel is here tonight. He couldn't perform because he just is getting in from Denver, where he played Grand Juicy Festival last night. So please enjoy this performance from Daniel's appearance on CBC's Q earlier this year. Here is Get You.
Drought and famine, natural disasters. My baby has been around for me. Kingdoms have fallen, angels be calling. None of that could ever make me leave. Yeah. Every time I look into your eyes, I see it. You're all I need. Every time I get a bit inside, I feel it. Who would have thought I'd get you? Who would have thought I'd get you? And when we're making love, your cries they can be heard.
Hey, check it.
Why? It's only the two of us. Everything I need between those thighs, yeah. Every time I look into your eyes, I see it. You're all I need. Every time I get a bit inside, I feel it. Ooh.
Daniel Caesar. 2016 Polaris longlister Sophia Nolin is a major fan of our next performer. She's here to tell us why Jean-Michel Blais' Dans ma main deserves to win this year's prize.
Dans le cas de Dans ma main, je pense que c'est tous les petits trucs de Jean-Michel mis ensemble qui font quelque chose d'incroyable, de quelque chose de très personnel, qui parle à beaucoup de gens. Si tu as envie que ça soit lourd, c'est vraiment lourd. Si tu as envie que ça soit léger, c'est vraiment léger, puis j'ai rarement vu ça. C'est difficile. Je pense pas qu'il l'a réfléchi. Je pense que c'est juste comme inné, puis ça fait partie de ton talent. Genre... Tu sais, c'est comme la musique qui est pas... Je sais pas comment expliquer. Ça pourrait être lourd, ça pourrait être difficile, ça pourrait être comme brainy, mais ça l'est pas. C'est très introspectif, mais pas difficile non plus, parce qu'il y a de la musique comme difficile à écouter, puis c'est la Jean-Michel à flow bien. Fait que ma première impression, c'était comme... Wow, nice!
Absolutely unreal. Jean-Michel Blais. Getting the first of what might be many standing ovations this evening. Now, let's take a look at the first batch of nominees for the Slaight Family Polaris Heritage Prize. The Heritage Prize honors albums that were released before Polaris started in 2006, divided into 4 different eras. This is what you could think of as the Polaris version of a Hall of Fame. 2 winners are honored for each era, with one selected by the music critics on the jury and the other selected by you. You can cast your vote at polarismusicprize.ca. Let's take a look at the first era being honored, 1960 to 1975.
The Slaight Family Polaris Heritage Prize is supported by ReSound. Your shortlist nominees for 1960 to 1975 are The Band, music from Big Pink; Beau Dommage, Robert Charlebois and Louise Forestier, Lindbergh; Jean-Pierre Ferland, Jaune; Joni Mitchell, Court and Spark; Jackie Mittoo, Wishbone; the Oscar Peterson Trio, Night Train; Buffy Sainte-Marie, It's My Way; Jackie Shane, Live; Neil Young, Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. Vote for the winners now at polarismusicprize.ca/heritage-prize.
In just a moment, you'll see an interview with CBC Music's Rich Turfry and Polaris shortlister Jeremy Dutcher. But first, let's play a round of Jam or Not a Jam. A lot of people have come into CBC Music this year to play this game where they decide if a song is a jam or not a jam. You check it out.
Also, these headphones just broke. What is this?
Oh, come on. You guys are hitting with the quality.
Did he write the song or his kid?
Not for me.
Yeah.
Totally not a jam.
That's Celine Dion? My dad used to play Celine Dion all the time because she's amazing. I wish I got to see her in Vegas, but I never quite cared.
Oh my God, that's Mark's jam right there.
Do you know R.E.M.? And I was like, nobody. Where are they from? Are they from Newfoundland?
It's a jam!
This stuff's the ultimate stoner music. That's so nice. I'm out. I don't think I could say like a lake on camera, so. She's talking about a cat, right?
Excuse me.
No.
It's a trash.
No, say because it's wrong.
Yeah. Who's the guy from Degrassi?
I think it's Drake.
Drake.
Yeah, Drake.
Holy break, look at me living in the six all by myself, paying rent, listening to Drake. It's a jammy.
Is that it? That's how you're ending it with that?
What up, dudes? I'm Rich Turfry. I'm the host of Drive on CBC Music, and I'm hanging out in the round room, and I'll be chatting with shortlisters all night long while they're hanging out in the big room, snacking and whatnot. And right now, I'm chilling with Jeremy Dutcher. Congrats on the nomination.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very excited.
I'm very excited, too. I'm excited to have you here and to be hanging out. And this, by my calculations, is your first Polaris nomination.
Indeed, it's my first record even.
So, first record, and so that's something, and I want to come back to that because I want you to know it's not that easy. That's not how it's supposed to work. But do you remember where you were when you heard the news that you
I was, yeah. I was coming on a train from Montreal to Toronto.
Yeah.
And I got a call from my manager. He says, got some good news and some bad news.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I want the bad news first. and I actually forget what it was.
Oh,
Not
good.
that important.
Couldn't have been that bad.
Exactly. And then the good news was this, all of this. So I think my first question was, well, will I get to meet Buffy Sainte-Marie?
Yeah.
Turns out, sure did.
Did you?
Yeah. At the announcement, we did it at the Drake.
Oh yeah,
and, and yeah, she was the one who actually announced my nomination. So this is like, oh, I'm getting chills right now, you know about it. Yeah, she's everything to me.
Did you have a chance to chat with her?
We chatted for like 20 minutes, yeah.
Oh, man.
I helped her pronounce the record title, you know, because it's a bit of a struggle for people, you know, not everyone's a Wolastoq speaker, so so we're all in it together, you know?
Yeah, you were just helping me.
I must say, though, you did very well.
Okay.
It was spot on.
Let me try it again.
Yeah, okay.
Wolastoqiyik, Lintuwakonawa.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I actually, you know.
Yeah, Wolastoqiyik, Lintuwakonawa.
You worked on this thing for 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
Holy smokes.
I mean, what is everyone else doing? You know,
not
people having kids, buying homes.
Yeah.
I'm making records.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started. I will say it took so long because I'm really process oriented in what I do, and it all actually started with a conversation between an elder and me around her kitchen table, and so she knew I was really interested in music and our traditional song style, and she says, if you really want to know the old way, it's not around here. You actually got to go to the museum. So she sort of tipped me off, actually.
Right.
And so that began this whole journey about, going to Ottawa, going to the National Archives, and really digging in and getting to hear these old voices, and then writing them out, transcription, and then arranging them, touring them, recording them. It's been a whole thing.
Okay, so that raises many questions in my mind. Where do I start? Okay, so you hadn't heard old recordings like that before.
And that for me was with this record, there was a question that I wanted answered. There was a problem that I wanted to fix. I think all art does this. We see a problem in the world and we see a space in the world and we want to contribute, we want to answer that. So for me, what the problem was that these, 110 years ago, this anthropologist, he goes into my community and brings his phonograph machine and says, sing me your songs. Keep in mind, this isn't a time when cultural practice is banned in Canada under the Indian Act.
Yeah, meaning, for those that don't know, that essentially the stories and songs couldn't really be shared.
In public.
Yeah.
And so, so they went underground, and all of a sudden this anthropologist shows up.
White guy.
Yeah, and says, hey, share with me what you have. And so he collected stories and photographs, but most interestingly to me, of course, as a musician, was these traditional songs that he collected.
Yeah.
And then, they were sort of taken away and just sort of put in the museum to collect dust. And so for me, the problem of this record was the abstraction of that content, taking it from a community, placing it in a museum, and then people don't know about it.
Yeah.
And people like the elder and like Maggie, who sort of guided me on that path, she knew about it, but it wasn't commonly circulated, and certainly we didn't hear it in the community. So for me, that was the real question that I wanted to answer, because I didn't have a relationship with these songs growing up.
So primarily, you wanted to take this and circulate it in the community. You wanted it to be brought back into the community.
That's what it all is, yeah. It's about repatriation.
Yeah. Now, I know that you're a very trained musician.
I suppose you could say that.
You've gone to school and the whole thing,
I did a classical music degree as an opera singer, and then I also trained with some song carriers, like traditional style, as well. So I sort of have a bit of a mixed background in terms of training, but yeah.
Okay, right. So that's what I was wondering about, because you were hearing these very old recordings that I'm assuming were, because what I gather is there was like a solo performer just singing kind of in the field sort of thing. Maybe, but not necessarily other trained musicians. And so I was wondering, the question I guess I had in mind was, did you have to unlearn anything in order to make this work, where you're taking this old recording and then trying to apply your musical brain to it, your highly trained musical brain. But I guess, I mean, you already had you know, already some background and education in the music, but
yeah. So what I will say to that question was that, yeah, in terms of how I was able to sit down and to work with these songs,
because you had to build all the other
and so I wrote all the string parts. I wrote everything you hear on this record. So for me, it was about, first and foremost, was putting these two styles of music on level playing field. For so long, there's been a gaze from above to Indigenous music. And for me, what this record was a celebration of was the unabashed sharing of unashamed indigeneity. So doing it in our language, making sure that it is from that perspective. And so when I started to arrange and to work with these melodies, it was about honoring that melody and staying faithful to it, and not trying to put any sort of like Euro-Western, form onto it.
So you didn't edit those.
So some of them
minimally, or
minimally, yeah. So in terms of the arrangements of it, yeah, I took some liberties and made it my own for sure. But for me, it was always about respecting that melody and making sure that leads the process. And so every harmonic shift, every rhythmic shift in this record is all based on where that actual melody goes.
Yeah.
But it's just about trying to translate it to a pop audience, or somebody that's going, or an audience that is maybe has no relationship with Indigenous music, but can still, hopefully understand what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, which I think you're here tonight because that happened and you were very successful in that. And I want to come back to that in a sec because I have a thought I want to share with you. Yeah. But you mentioned, is her name Maggie Paul?
Maggie Paul.
So she was there when this idea was first planted.
She was the planter of the idea, I should say, yeah.
And so...
And here tonight as well.
Is she?
She is, yeah.
So she's heard it 5 years later when it was done.
Yeah.
You played it for, I'm guessing she was maybe one of the first to hear it?
She was, yeah.
And so what was her reaction like?
It's almost hard to describe. It was like... what she said was... When I heard these old cylinders, I heard symphonies. And you heard that too. And so, and she said, you're able to take this to a whole nother level that I couldn't. And she, I will credit with being one of the people responsible for keeping our musical tradition on the East Coast alive, under the duress of law and of government suppression. And so she, I do this work because she did this work. And it's one layer on top of each other. And that's the way it's always been with our ways, with our tradition, It's about the elders mentoring the young and carrying on that Indigenous excellence, And so, yeah, when she got to hear it, I think she was floored. She was like, "That's exactly what I wanted to hear," is what she said.
Well, that must have been satisfying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you never know, right? You just try to, I had a very clear vision of what I heard when I heard these melodies, and as a young person, especially as a young Indigenous person, of course, you want to create stuff that is satisfactory to tradition and satisfactory to your elders, and so, but when you can do that and also do something that feeds you and is musically interesting to you and also connects with other people as well, that for me is like, that's the biggest check mark of all.
Did you have any doubts along the way? I mean, it's 5 years. It's a long time.
It's a long time, yeah.
Were there any spots along the way where you thought, am I doing this right? Like, am I,
Of course. Yeah. I think, if artists are such sensitive souls, and I think at the end of the day, we just want to touch people and we want to connect with people. And so if there's any sort of like moment when that might not be the case, you know, when it's like, oh, what am I actually doing this for?
Yeah, yeah.
It can be scary. And throughout a process of 5 years, of course that's gonna happen at least once.
Yeah, I would think.
And you just kind of have to, you know, I push through it by, to be honest, going back to my territory, re-engaging my land, re-engaging my language, being in my community and being guided by those who have gone before.
Yeah.
So the doubt subsides pretty quick when you're supported in that way, and when people see the work that you're doing and lift you up in that, it's hard to doubt yourself in that way, because you know that even if it's not a commercial success, or you know, you don't get a Polaris nom for it, it's still satisfying and it's still connecting with people. And so for me, that's the only goal. It was about, like you said, taking from the museum, placing in community, and that's happened.
Yeah.
Like quite tangibly, that has happened.
Right.
These songs are being sung again.
So that was it, huh? Like that was going to be one of my other questions. How were you going to measure success for this long labor of love?
This is
basically by completing it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the journey is not quite complete, and it will be. But
so what's left? What do you still have to do?
Symphonies. I hear symphonies. So,
I can't wait to hear that.
2019, 2020.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
Huh.
Yeah.
There's one last thing I wanted to mention. Of
course.
I'm an outsider. I'm, not from your community. I'm an East Coaster, but not directly from your community. And I'm, my first love musically when I was a kid was hip hop.
Yeah.
And the only other place that I'm used to hearing old voices blending with new ones was in hip hop and sampling, right?
Huh.
And so when I would hear your beautiful voice and the arrangements, and then hear these old voices come in, it was, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. It's a real thrilling thing for me to hear. And it excited me the same way hearing hip hop music excited me for the first time. And maybe it's not exactly the same thing, but I get the sense that it was a little bit of that for a lot of new people for whom this music was new.
Sure.
You don't hear a lot of this sort of thing. It's super exciting.
Sampling, I mean, for me, yeah, it's definitely coming from the world of hip hop. I don't know that it came for me that way.
Right.
For me, what it was those voices needed to be on this record.
Yeah.
To have them heard. It would have been fine just for me to, take them as inspiration and carry them forward. But for me, there was in the hearing of them, that for me there was something there too. Going to that archive and being able to sit down, put on those headphones and hear it for the first time, profound. Profound moment of connection.
Can't really imagine. You understood what you were, hearing. Right
I was very, very fortunate to have a relationship with my language. From a very young age, my mother's a speaker, my grandmother's a speaker, my aunt's a teacher of the language. So it was around the home.
Because before we came on here, we were chatting, and we were talking about how you live in Toronto now, and so you don't always have, people in your new immediate community now to speak with and use the language with. So it's in phone calls and stuff when you.
But for me, it's become a personal practice too, right? Like it's language, of course, is about communication and being in relationship with other people, but. Yeah, for me, it's also, maybe through necessity, perhaps, but it's become a personal journey as well of writing the language. It's not until maybe 20 years ago that we actually even have a writing system. So for me, gaining the level of intricate fluency with writing is also very important. That keeps me engaged with the language. And there's a lot of emergent resources as well in the last couple of years. We have a dictionary now. Online dictionary, tons of videos online. We have apps. There's
that's cool.
Yeah,
but to give people context, though, you said there's less than 100
fluent
speakers left.
Yeah. So we're at, for me, that is what that does is spurs a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And it tells me that this work needs to happen right now, and that's kind of why, I could have written obscure classical pieces around these melodies and made them really sort of maybe hard to listen to for most. But I wanted to write pop songs that people could listen to and could love and could could embody and make part of their everyday, because it has to be with the people.
Well, we love it. I get the sense that you know, the folks back at home really love it. I'd love to talk with you all night about this, but I know you got to perform here in a bit. So thanks, congrats again, good luck. And I should say now that there's a lot more great stuff coming up. We're going to be hanging out with Wheeze and Jean-Michel Blais. There's a special tribute to Alvvays coming up, performances from U.S. Girls and my man Jeremy Dutcher here. But right now we're going to head back inside because I think Hubert Lenoir is standing by for his performance.
Seriously, I have like talk for him.
Welcome back to the Polaris Music Prize Gala, live from the Carlo in Toronto. I'm Raina Duras. Tonight's event is brought to you in part by the financial support of Factor, the Government of Canada, through the Department of Canadian Heritage's Canada Music Fund, and Canada's private radio broadcasters. Coming up, we have performances from partner Snotty Nose Rez Kids, U.S. Girls, Jeremy Dutcher, and Pierre Kwenders. We're about to hear Hubert Lenoir performing the opening suite from his album Darlène. And 2010 Polaris winner Louis-Jean Cormier from Carquois will explain a little more about why this record deserves to win.
Tout d'abord, la première fois que j'ai vu Hubert Lenoir, c'était au sein du groupe The Seasons. Et c'était vraiment un jeune garçon. Puis, quand je l'ai entendu chanter pour la première fois, c'est là que j'ai fait « Oh, attends un peu, là, il y a quelque chose. » Il y avait vraiment quelque chose qui happe. Quand il chante, ça nous rejoint vraiment. Avec une musique qui est teintée de glam rock, de jazz, de même de rock progressif de temps à autre. Tu peux arriver avec une proposition de glam rock en 2018, mais si tu n'as pas fondamentalement une bonne chanson, quelque chose qui reste, ça ne fera pas long feu. Le disque en lui-même peut rejoindre plusieurs générations de mélomanes et peut-être même intéresser une nouvelle garde. On voit, même au Québec, Hubert Lenoir rejoindre les plus petits. Donc c'est vraiment intéressant de voir à quel point ce disque-là est large et en même temps puissant.
tant de conseils à prendre sur nous. Et même quand tu te déguises, je te sors, mais ça t'épuise de chercher. Ah ben, perds pas ton temps. Ah non, oui, on veut tous mourir de goût. Garde ta photo, mon souvenir. J'ai déjà vu des films d'en surexposés. T'es le plus beau des films que j'ai regardé. Alright, en face à face ou en one night. Je suis venu te dire que je peux changer. J'ai vu une avenir comme les peuples. Pour supporter le cuir et la tête rasée. J'ai vu ton avenir. Je suis venu te dire que tu peux changer. J'ai vu un avenir de femmes et bébés. Où supporter le cuir et la tête rasée. J'ai vu ton avenir. Je suis venu te dire que tu peux changer. J'ai vu un avenir de femmes libérées. Où supporter le cuir et la tête rasée. J'ai vu ton avenir. J'ai vu ton avenir. J'ai vu ton avenir. J'ai vu ton avenir. Ah ah. Fuck genders, fuck rules, fuck everything, fuck your American dream. I am your French-Canadian nightmare, yeah. Je suis venu te dire que je peux changer. J'ai eu un avenir comme les bébés. Où supporter le cuir et la tête rasée. J'ai vu ton avenir. Je suis venu te parler. J'ai vu ton avenir. J'ai vu ton avenir.
Well, that was awesome. That ruled. Hubert Lenoir. While the crew is busy getting ready for your next performer, the host of Drive on CBC Music, Richter Fry, is standing by with Pierre Kwenders. But before we go there, let's look at the nominees for the Slaight Family Polaris Heritage Prize for the years 1976 to 1985.
The Slaight Family Polaris Heritage Prize is supported by Resound. Your shortlist nominees for 1976 to 1985 are Bruce Coburn, Stealing Fire; DOA, Hardcore 81; Fifth Column, To Sir with Hate; Gowan, Strange Animal; Martha and the Muffins, This Is the Ice Age; Jackie Mittoo, Showcase Volume 3; Stan Rogers, Fogarty's Code; Rough Trade, Avoid Freud; Rush, 2112; Leroy Sibbles, On Top. Vote for the winners now at polarismusicprize.ca/heritage-prize.
Shout out to Fifth Column. Yeah, oh, Fifth Column, hello. Yes, yes, y'all. I'm Richter Fry. I'm in the round room and I'm hanging out with the superstar, Pierre Kwenders, right here. Thanks for being here. Good to see you. You look like $1,000,000.
I mean, I'm trying.
You're nailing it, man. So congrats on the nomination.
Thank you.
I wish you the best of luck today. You were on the long list before, right, for a previous album?
Yes.
So you're not completely new to this. You've been down at least part of this road before, a little bit.
I mean, I'm still new to this. You know, this is a short list. You know, it's it gets shorter and it gets more intense.
The stakes are higher.
You know, the stakes are higher, so the stakes are higher. So you know.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Very exciting.
It's very exciting. So where were you when you got the news then that you made the short list?
I was driving actually, and my best friend, who's my manager, called me. He was like, "Oh, I just got a call, and I think you're probably on the short list." I was like, "Oh, okay." That was like my reaction. You know? Yeah. I was like, I'm not the kind of person who will jump on a sofa. You know, I'm not Tom Cruise. I have to say.
Well, feel free if the feeling strikes you at any point here.
But I was excited, and you know, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be one of those 10 people out there, 10 bands out there. You know?
It's a very select group.
Yeah.
So I want to give people just a little bit of context real quick. I think a lot of people watching probably remember Diggable Planets.
Yeah.
Where am I here? Is this me? I'm here? Diggable Planets. You remember Diggable Planets, right? They had a couple of huge albums in the 90s. There was Reachin'. There was the underrated classic Blowout Comb.
Wow.
And sort of the front man for Diggable Planets in those days was referred to as Butterfly.
Yeah.
Guy named Ishmael.
Ishmael Butterfly.
And he's originally from Seattle. In the days of Diggable Planets, he was living in Brooklyn, I think.
Brooklyn, New York, yeah.
And then he moved back to Seattle and started a new operation called Shabazz Palaces.
Shabazz Palaces, yeah.
And he started working with a very talented musician that they call Baba.
Baba Merer, yeah, Tendai.
And you're working with this guy as well on this album that you're nominated for. I'd love to know how that came together.
I mean, I didn't even know about Diggable Planet, to be honest, you know. I was a fan of Shabazz Palaces, you know. I was like growing up in, being in Canada and discovering new music, and Shabazz Palaces was one of those, you know, from North America. And after my first album, I was like, I want to work with these guys.
Okay, yeah.
And we got in touch with Tendai, and he was like, yeah, I want to work with you too, you know, let's see whatever is going to come out of it. So
you just reached out?
I reached out.
Social media styles?
Kind of like internet or like email style, you know. And it just happened, and he invited us to Seattle. We got to Seattle, and I was like, wow, you know, I want you to be in one of my songs for my next album. I don't really know what it's going to be. And he was like, okay, well, I have a few tracks that I think that you might like, so let's try to work and see what will come out. And he's gave me a few tracks that he pre-produced before I got there, and I just fell in love. And then we got to studio, and the inspiration was just there, and then the chemistry was just happening automatically.
Oh,
and, you know.
So did you go out to Seattle?
I did, and then I go out to Seattle, and after that day we'd look at each other, we were like, you know what, let's just make an album and see what's gonna happen. And MAKANDA was born, you know, a couple years after that.
Yeah. So do you think you'll do more with?
Oh, definitely.
Work together more in the future?
Definitely. I think there's something good that is happening there, and we both. Tenda is from Zimbabwe.
Yep.
And I'm from Congo, and we both like from African descent. So there's something going on there, and we think that we need to build a bridge between Africa and the rest of the world, because sometimes there's a lot of stereotypes about Africa, and we try to kill that. So that's our mission.
I like that. And it makes me think of a few different questions I want to ask you. But you know, a few minutes ago, I was speaking to one of the other nominees, Jeremy Dutcher, and he was talking about how he really made his record for his community.
Yeah.
You know, and as almost like a gift that he wanted to bring back to his community. And then you are almost thinking looking in the other direction, like let's build a bridge and reach out. And now you end up here in the same place. Yeah. Two different approaches.
Yeah.
Similar result. That's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing, but you know, I was born in Africa, and I moved here when I was 16.
Yeah.
And Jeremy probably was born here, you know.
Right.
Obviously.
Yes. Yes, I think.
You know, and moving here, you know, I have a story to tell.
Right.
You know, and I have a lot of story to tell, and I have a lot of like chapters. You know, if you want to know something about me, you know, you just have to listen to my music. But you know, there's a lot of things to say, and I've learned a lot of things moving here in Canada. You know, living here in Canada, so. I think the best way of sharing that, the best way of telling those stories through my music, and that's what I'm trying to do.
So I was going to ask you, like, what sort of things you learned, but it seems to me maybe I should just, you know, spend all the time with the music, and I'll find all the answers I'm looking for.
Maybe not all the answers, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot of things, you know. I mean, I was so young when I moved here. I was a teenager, you know. I didn't know what I was gonna do with my life. I didn't know.
Were you already into music?
No.
No.
Absolutely not. You know, I've finished high school here, and I studied accounting at university.
Accounting?
Accounting. Yeah.
I wasn't sure I heard you right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, accounting. Yeah, I mean, which is a good thing, you know. That helps a lot. That helps a lot, especially in this business, you know.
So you have your business.
You have to be careful.
You have your business taken care of.
You have to be careful.
Yeah.
But it's. I've learned a lot, you know, and I'm grateful to be sitting here and talking to you about my music. You know, I've never expected to be here, so this is just amazing.
I love it, and one thing I know, because I've been reading a little bit about your record. I mean, I had to prepare for our time together. Is that family? Played a big part in this as well,
yes.
And maybe in particular some women in your family. Yeah.
Yeah, mostly women. There's a lot of women in my family. I have to be honest. I think there's like 80% of women in my family and 20% of men. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of women influence in my family, and growing up, you know, I've been raised by a single mother, and my grandmother raised 8 children by herself after the death of my grandfather in the 70s, and you know, I've just been inspired by these women, these strong women, and all the things that I've learned from them. You know, being responsible, being disciplined, and following my dream and respecting people. And you know, I felt that I needed to pay homage to those women because when I started my career, I chose the name of my grandfather, who had a very big legacy that I've learned growing up when I was younger. But that legacy was taught to me by those women, you know, and I really feel that those women had a very big influence in the way that my grandfather used to think and in the way that everybody in my family thinks right now. So it was really important for me to honor those women because without them, I wouldn't be here, sitting here in front of you.
And your grandmother is still with you?
No, unfortunately, she died 18 years ago in 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 18 years ago. My mom's still alive. My auntie, Shimba, passed away a couple of years back. But she's the reason why I'm in Canada because she was the first of the family to move to Canada.
Okay.
And she convinced my mom to move to Canada. So if I'm here doing this music here in Canada, it's basically because of her. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. I wish your grandmother could still be around to hear this beautiful album.
Well, they're both out there, you know, watching from above.
Well, of course. I read a beautiful quote from you recently, and you were talking about this idea of building bridges. And you talked about, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but the quote was something like, you know, it's important to me to promote my African roots or heritage so I can live peacefully in Canada. Do you remember saying something like that?
I do. I do, because you can never be comfortable wherever you are without knowing where you come from, you know? So I know that I come from Africa. I know there's a lot of heritage and a lot of baggage that comes to what I am, you know, and the color of my skin. And it's important for me to share that with the people. And it's important for me to talk about it in my music. And it's important for me to make people interested about it and to learn about it, you know. And I'm also grateful to be living in Canada because this is like a welcoming country. I decided to take me, you know, as one of their kids, you know. So,
and so, having done that, having promoted your culture and your heritage so beautifully in this album,
thank you.
Would you say that it has given you some sense of peace?
Yeah, I would say that. I would say that. But you know, peace is it's a very complicated thing. You know, you can find peace in the many different stages of your life. And right now, I feel grateful for everything that have happened in the past few years. I think there's many more things that will happen, and I cannot predict the future, you know. I can only hope for better things or greater things, and if ever there is obstacle, you know, I'm gonna do my best to thrive the best that I can and stay true to myself and be who I am.
I wish I could speak to you all night. I have all these questions, and we're not going to be able to get to them all. But one thing I definitely wanted to ask you about is the fact that you sing on this album in, I've heard three or four different languages.
Yeah.
And so I'm fascinated by that. Like, I want to know, for example, like, how do you decide if there's something you want to express, which language to use? And how, you know, the different languages you use, the different roles maybe that they play on the album?
I definitely do not decide. You know, it's mostly about the time that I spend in the studio, in the lab. Let's call it a lab, you know?
Yeah.
And it's about the inspiration, you know, when I hear a sound and whatever that sound inspired me, and if it comes out in French, I will start in French, and sometimes I will start in French and it can take me somewhere else in other languages. And what I really like is to take people on a journey. And you know, I like people to travel with me during a song or during an album, whatever it is. And switching from one language to another, it's a way for me to, you know, to take people on that journey with me and travel with those people and take them to different feelings. It's like a roller coaster of feelings.
Yeah.
Even though I'm probably saying the same thing in different languages,
right?
But you can feel it in different ways and in different magnitude. So that's the fun of it, and that's the most amazing thing.
And so you'll be having fun on stage here.
Definitely.
Shortly, and so I guess that's the name of the game. You get up there, you're going to try to convey some feelings and get some people in the room, some good times.
Yeah.
And so what do you have in store for us? Can you kind of give us a little hint of what's coming?
Well, I mean, people always expect me to be crazy and stuff, but I mean, I will be crazy. I have a little surprises.
Oh, yeah?
Stay tuned.
Okay, well, I can't wait. I was going to ask you a little bit about Henry Miller, because I think it's so interesting that your worlds collided. Maybe we'll have to hang out tomorrow and we'll talk about Henry Miller a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to congratulate you again.
Thank you.
And I want to wish you the best of luck. And hopefully we'll talk to you back here a little later on. And I should tell you that I'm going to be chatting with Hubert Lenoir next.
Yes.
But right now we're going to head back inside, see what's happening in the gala.
Welcome back to the Polaris Music Prize Gala presented by CBC Music. We at CBC Music are so proud to support Canadian talent, and tonight we're excited to partner with Polaris. For us, it's more than just the $50,000 prize. It's a chance to discuss and celebrate Canadian music regardless of commercial recognition. We're here to celebrate the artistry and get everyone talking about Canadian culture. And it's not just about the music. Each of tonight's shortlisted nominees will receive a one-of-a-kind limited edition print created specifically for each album by Canadian designers. A limited number of these posters are available at polarismusicprize.ca. Alvvays have made the shortlist for the second time for their album Antisocialites. They played in LA last night, and they couldn't make it in time for the gala tonight, but they've got a very special guest to perform in their stead. We will get to that, but first, let's hear from the director of the band's Dreams Tonight video, as well as the films The Dirties, Operation Avalanche, and the series Nirvana, the Band, the Show. One of my favorite filmmakers in the country right now, here is Matt Johnson.
Alec or Molly, I don't remember which, they had said, hey, do you want to listen to our new record and maybe we can talk about making a video? And we put it in this rental van and listened to it on the way to Kingston, where every single song that played, it was like, oh, I feel like I know this song, like it was always a memory that you didn't know that you had. That's the feeling that I get with almost every new Alvvays song. And it seems like their music has existed for way longer than they've been alive, which is a real gift and testament to them as a band. Alvvays has this incredible gift of knowing exactly what their taste is, and if something comes up or if they're presented with an idea, like any great artist, they know if it's in their voice or not immediately. It has that tone that is addictive, and so when you hear her sing the hooks of these songs, it is almost like a strange drug. I would love to know how they can get something so complex and rich down to these simple sentences that no one's ever heard before.
When Alvvays realized they couldn't perform tonight, they had to get someone special to take their place. So they looked to the Girls Rock Camp Toronto. Girls Rock Camp Toronto is an inclusive musical community empowering girls and gender non-binary and trans-identified youth. And here to rep the camp, and Alvvays performing in undertow, give it up for Deep Waters. amazing. Deep Waters. From Girls Rock Camp. How great was that? Deep Waters. Another standing ovation. My friend Richard Fry is with shortlister Hubert Lenoir right now. Before we go there, let's look at the nominees for the Slaight Family Polaris Heritage Prize for the era of 1986 to 1995.
The Slaight Family Polaris Heritage Prize is supported by Resound. Your shortlist nominees for 1986 to 1995 are Daniel Bélanger, Les Insomniacs s'amusent, Dream Warriors, and Now the Legacy Begins, Katie Lang, Ingenue, Daniel Lanois, Acadie, Maestro Fresh West, Symphony in Effect, Main Source, Breaking Atoms, Sarah McLachlan, Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill, John Oswald, Plunderphonic, Voivod, Nothing Face. Vote for the winners now at polarismusicprize.ca/heritage-prize.
Main Source, Breaking Atoms, masterpiece. How you doing? I'm Rich, and we're hanging out here in the round room, chatting with shortlisters all night, and right now, it's the man you just saw him on tables in the next room, Hubert Lenoir. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was watching that performance, and I was amazed, and I was thinking, you know, you were on stage for such a short period of time, and it seems normally for, you know, when I see concerts, it seems like it takes a performer 15 minutes or so before they really start, you know, getting into it. You immediately were in your zone, and now you're here. Yeah. Are you still kind of feeling up here a little bit, or are you able to kind of bring it back down and kind of calm yourself after a performance like that fairly quickly?
Yeah, I believe I'm calm right now.
Yeah.
But you know, it depends. It doesn't take me that much time to get in my zone on stage or whenever I'm singing in the studio, because I like music so much that music moves me all the time, and I always surprise myself how sometimes tired I can be before going on stage, or hungover or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like, or being just like not in my, like being depressed before going on stage, and still kind of do it, because like whenever I hear like the first note of piano or whatever, like the first drum beat, I just start feeling
immediately.
it. Yeah.
Well, I think you're a professional as well. That probably has a little something to do with it.
I haven't played music for that long, so I don't believe I'm that professional.
Oh, well, you look good to me. And by the way, I want to say,
thank you.
Speaking of which, your outfit tonight is my favorite look of the night.
Thank you.
I just noticed your socks, which I love. I love everything I'm seeing here tonight.
Fuck off.
Yep. So, hey, I want to congratulate
Thank you.
on...
This is a pretend play. She made this outfit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Just for tonight?
Or it was like, it's like one of her creation. But it was not like for tonight.
I saw you earlier as soon as you arrived here and immediately thought, wow, that's incredible.
Thank you.
It's, so shout out to her. So this is your first nomination for the Polaris.
Yeah, it's my first album.
Yeah, so it makes sense. And I want to talk to you later about the fact that it's your first album, because I think there's something really interesting about that and the fact that you're here now, and we'll get into that later. But first thing I want to ask you is the same thing I'm asking everybody else. When you got the news, where were you? How did you feel? You know, tell me about that moment.
The news of being shortlisted?
On the shortlist, yeah.
I was right before a concert in Chicoutimi in Quebec.
Yeah.
And I was glad, but I couldn't tell. Wait, because I knew it like. I knew it like a little. I don't know if I'm supposed to know that, but like I knew it like a few days before for some reasons.
Okay.
But when it got out, I was after a concert, like the day after, very bad hangover.
Yeah.
And but still very glad. I've puked a little bit, but then I had to drive like 8 hours to go. But yeah, it was a nice day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just glad because, you know, it's I expected not that much from this album, like being a multidisciplinary project with a book and a record, and like being just like this concept album of instrumental songs. Still, there's some pop songs in there, but like I was just amazed of, because I was so caught up in finishing this project that I was only thinking about like releasing it and just like send it to the mastering, just because it was like so hard and was such a hard process, and everything was like seems to be against me. I just like wanted to just take it out and then go do something else. I actually didn't want to do any show with this, and my booker right now convinced us to play shows. But at first I was like, no, I'm not playing it, because I was like, oh, it's, you know, instrumental songs will be too complicated to play live, you know. And I did like I need a lot of musicians. I just wanted to go and do something else. But then he convinced us to so shout out to Louis.
And so when you say us, you're referring to Noémie?
Yeah, because she's my manager. Yeah, we just do it. Yeah, And I'm not gonna say laughing. She's my manager, but we just do like, because I just find the term. But we just do everything together. So.
Yeah. So, and she wrote the book that you referred to. And so, just so I have it straight, and so everyone who's watching has it straight, were these created at the same time, or did the book come first?
It was created at the same time, in the same, maybe like 6 months. So I started from scratch. I had like a lot of songs, like being a songwriter, I have like so many like songs, ideas in my head all the time. But I just wanted to start from scratch, because I wanted to do this kind of concept thing, and she was writing a book at the same time. But at first, I had this idea of doing something conceptual, and then she was writing a novel. And like in the first weeks, like we realized that we were kind of talking about the same thing, being autobiographical. We realized we were kind of telling the same story, or at least we were going to the kind of same place. So we just decided like to combine each other. And then like the process was just, she was writing chapters. Maybe she would make me read the chapters. I would make her listen to my song ideas, like play them. And then we just kind of give ideas to each other. And then until...
And it was about a 6-month process, you were saying?
Yeah, maybe like a little more than that. Writing, not recording.
Okay.
Writing, 6 months.
And so, do you think for when you sit down to work on another album, do you think you'll do a similar thing? I heard you referred to the work as postmodern opera. Do you think that's basically going to be your style going forward?
No. I think that this record, that's like, we had this term in mind for a long time, postmodern opera. I think I want to write in a different way, and this was like a project, but I just want to do something else after that. But I don't know if I'm still going to be like that conceptual. I don't know if I want to write another concept album, but I always have this. I'm not into, you know, a lot of artists are releasing music for just like the sake of their career plan. Right. Like let's try to hit the single to get it big in the States or whatever, or just like maybe I'm going to try to get an EP out. But I'm not against this, but that's just not my thing. I think I will always be writing and recording in a way that I want to do something that matters, and something that's gonna be, that's gonna be relevant in like decades. Yeah. You know, that's the way I see it. I mean, for a record like Darlène, I don't care like how big it gets and how it sells, but maybe like I just want like maybe like in a few years or like 10 years, like kids are still gonna enjoy it sometimes.
Well, I think you accomplished something very special with this album that we're celebrating here tonight. I wish you the best of luck. Congratulations again. Hey, we got a lot more coming up. We're going to be chatting with Snotty Nose Rez Kids here soon, but we're going to head back inside for another performance right now.
Live from the beautiful Carlew in downtown Toronto, this is the 2018 Polaris Music Prize Gala. I'm Raina Duras. Before we get to our next performer, we would like to acknowledge the continued support of the Ontario Media Development Corporation. Polaris looks forward to continuing this work together and future works on initiatives to strengthen Ontario's music industry. Now, we have a guy that you all probably know, George Strombolopoulos. He wants to tell you about our next performer, Snotty Nose Rez Kids. They are Dakakwan dancers from the Yukon to perform a song from The Average Savage. Here is George.
Ever since I was a little KID, I've been feeling like my DAD every time he's around the RCMP.
I think this is a really relevant record because it's not nice. Depending on who's listening to it, it can be an unpleasant set of realities to have to experience, and I think it ought to be unpleasant. There are very few records that actually reach an audience that have this kind of force behind it. I think that makes it really special, and I think it makes it really relevant. I think you need punk voices, I think you need hip-hop voices, rebel voices. I think you need power to come from those who haven't been listened to, haven't been heard. And I think that Snotty Nose Rez Kids are part of that conversation. It is necessary for an artist to be brave. And it's challenging only if you haven't been paying attention. I think if you've been paying attention to what's going on, it underscores more than it challenges. And if it challenges your perceptions, you ought to do some thinking about your worldview. Celebrate people who are about something, because they're the ones trying to move the needle forward.
I know you heard it in the movies, read it in comment sections, seen it in the old cartoons.
You might have been told from your grandparents, they're savages, untamed, uncivilized, ill-mannered, vulgar heathens.
The blood falls from the red sky. My lady singing out war cry. We'll break them up like mannequins. Looking in the eyes, they panicking. Draped up in a bitter high wind. We Indians, we savages. Don't believe me, check my status. This battlefield is my canvas. And it might not take us platinum, but that hand drum is my anthem. We go bang, bang on the 808s. You know we coming when you feel the bass. No deal with the devil, no soul to sell. We are red when we broke to the gates of hell. We savages, savages. Native to the land you've inhabited. Home of the braves and the ancestors who taught the land to damage. Man, we held from the side of the atlas that practice no ease on baskets. Carve masks on cedar planets as we live by the law of the land. Don't take what you can handle, don't break what you don't understand. Goddamn, we back again. Kill the Indian, save the man. Put a knife on my back and I go berserk. I don't make friends, I make feelings hurt. Ill behave, man, I'm on my worst. No new friends, I put family first. Underneath the mask, I'm a monster. On my people's back, I'm a conqueror. But before I reconcile, man, I'll let this to my profile. My grandpa was a savage before savage was in style. Savages, savages, homie, we them savages. That's how they gon' label us. Thanks to all the cameras, we savages, savages. Homie, we them savages. Forgotten languages. God damn, ain't that a trick? We savages, savages. Homie, we them savages. That's just the way we live. So my kids will be some savages, savages. Homie, we them savages. Do you know what a real savage is? A redneck but a red skin. Far from Cleveland but an Indian. That's casino with them moccasins. With two braids my sister did. Look, Rez boy, savage. Watch a man running with his glasses. Ice cold, I did it with a jacket. Matter of fact, I'm getting
still ashes. Even if that boat is sinking, I never jump in ships. Some claim to be dead with my name, but you feel the same type of way every single time that bird flips to the pipeline. Look at the world through my eyes. This long head to show my pride is forget you again like mine. Yeah, man, you don't want no problems. Why? Cause I get that from my dad and them. Oh yes indeed, when I'm in need of stress reliever. That's Indian MEDs when I achieve. Homie, can't you see me? S-A-V-A-G-E-S and P-S. My name, yes, P-Mets. Blood of my blood and the flesh of my flesh. D-O-Max, you can get that. We them savages, savages. Homie, we them savages. That's how they gon' label us. Thanks to all the cameras, we savages, savages. Homie, we them savages. Forgotten languages. God damn it, that a trick. We savages, savages. Homie, we the savages. That's just the way we live. So my kids will be some savages, savages. Homie, we the savages. Do you know what a real savage is, boy?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you guys a little story about the House of Warriors. We ain't the people of the Kappa Shield, but I break it on the enemy. You know the deal? This ain't a kill shot just to show you how it feels. This for peace with ourselves, man. We trying to heal.
Hold up, young tribes. If we're gonna break it down for everybody, then you gotta break it down right, fam.
Yeah. We the people of the snow, man.
People of the snow. That's an arcade, let's go. There's some things I gotta do that break a copper on the enemy. To find my serenity for the people that depend on me. To tell it like it is without sacrificing caution. The people live long and prosper. Yeah, live long and prosper.
Put up a copper shield for the million-man roster. That said I'm the killer, but a black snake stopper. And a student of creation, I'm the young grasshopper. Oh,
now bounce, bounce.
Who wants to love you like it? That's how it's pronounced. Cause my people had enough. I can see them waking up.
Caffeinated, educated with the seventh in the house.
We're taking back the languages.
They said you can have it.
We're taking back our culture.
They said you can have it.
We're taking our identity and no, I ain't asking. We'll take it all back while we at it. Cause you know that we them killer beast savages.
Red-skinned bandits.
I like my red and white, but I'm still about my panic. With a tribe I can manage, and I'm taking full advantage of this picture-perfect plan, man. And only I planned it. I got my support with my people in the corner in the fight over lives where we gotta push forward. We the cousins from the island that were meant to feel like foreigners. On long blocks, blood, and it's the rise of the warriors.
Hey, I'm a cancer for the June.
How?
I'm child of the moonlight.
How?
Raised without a silver spoon now. Up the roads from the concrete that bloomed.
How?
Yeah, it's honor over Wales at the House of Warriors, man. That's how we stay victorious. The habitat of the world is glorious. When we sweat and reach euphoria, that a healer was. Yeah, we get no love and more hate. We been warriors ready for a golden state. Right out the gate, we don't get a clean slate. Cause half trains of those who died before the flags of the states in Canada. Pride cometh before the fall. It's all for one and one for all. We do it for the long haul. Like a totem pole, we stand tall. Cause wow.
Now we're here to stay, fighting through the pain, coming out to play at the House of Warriors. At the House of Warriors. At the House of Warriors.
Hey, Redskins, stand up with us.
Stand up, stand up, stand up like
Hey, white man, can you walk with us?
walk with me, walk with me, walk with me like
Hey, at the House of the Warriors.
At the House of Warriors.
Hey,
divided we fall, but united we stand at the house of
Warriors.
The Snotty Nose Rez Kids, everyone. Still to come, performances from Jeremy Dutcher, U.S. Girls, and Partner, who are standing by for an interview with CBC Music's Rich Fry. Before we do that, let's take a look at the final era for consideration for the Slaight Family Heritage Prize, 1996 to 2005.
The Slaight Family Polaris Heritage Prize is supported by ReSound. Your shortlist nominees for 1996 to 2005 are Brand Van 3000, Glee, Broken Social Scene, You Forgot It in People. Constantine's Shine a Light. The Deers, No Cities Left. Destroyer, Street Hawk, A Seduction. Estero, Breath from Another. Sarah Harmer, You Were Here. Kid Koala, Carpal Tunnel Syndrome. The New Pornographers, Mass Romantic. The Weaker Thans, Left and Leaving. Vote for the winners now at polarismusicprize.ca/heritage-prize.
Are you ready to rock? I am here with partner Lucy and Jose. Hey guys, good to see you.
How you doing?
Good. Congrats on the shortlisting.
Thank you.
And all the exciting things that are happening. I guess the first thing I'll ask you was this. I'm going to ask you the same thing I've been asking everyone all night. Where were you? What was happening when you got the news that you're on the short list? What happened? What was your reaction? That whole
Yeah,
ride.
so we were at the Neil Young concert in Quebec City.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, well, okay, so Jose was looking for her bracelet, and so she texted her manager or something. You can tell the story. It was you.
Yeah, and then she had the big news, and I was like, holy crap. And we were, we were at a pretty low point, and I would say I lost all hope at that point. And
Of being on the short list?
Of anything. Of life.
Really?
Yeah.
I just remember being at the Neil Young concert.
A different experience.
I was having a good time at Neil Young.
Yeah.
And then we got the text.
Yeah, and I was pumped.
Yeah, I was pumped too.
Yeah. I bet that had a way of making the show even more awesome that night. How was Neil? Was it a good show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Neil still got it.
Yeah.
Was he playing the hits that night?
Only the hits he wanted to play. He
Yeah.
started off with an 18-minute cut off of Trans.
Oh,
Which is
yeah.
a sick album.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow, that was how he started.
Definitely in there for a Heritage Prize one of these.
Oh yeah.
One of
Yeah,
these
it's gotta
years,
happen.
I'm thinking. So yeah, and then he played some real extended jams. It was awesome.
I saw him a couple times now, and the first time was in Halifax at the Forum. No, not the
nice.
Forum, the Metro Center. And he started with, Rock and Roll Will Never Die. What's it called?
Hey, Hey, My My.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. Okay, I want to talk a little. I want to get the timeline straight.
Sure.
With you guys, that will guide me through these next few questions. So, okay, so the first thing that came on my radar, and I think it's the same for a lot of people, was the Ellen Page song. You guys have been around for a bit at that point?
Maybe about a year.
Like a year, probably, yeah.
Yeah, and then the album followed how long after that?
So the album, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
About
After
a year
that.
and a half after that.
Yeah.
It was mostly all written at that point.
Yeah.
Not released or recorded.
Right, okay. So, I guess what I was kind of getting at with that is that, this is your first album, first shortlist nomination, which is very exciting. Normally it doesn't happen that way. You got to put out a whole bunch of records and slog it out and pray for a long time, and then, but first crack, and then here you are. So what occurred to me is that when a band is kind of starting out and making a first record, you haven't really established a fan base yet, right?
Right.
So you're not exactly making a record for the fans because they're not quite there yet. You still got to go find them, right? But then certainly with the Ellen Page song, and then it was, and then Crazy with this record, there's a whole lot of fans, a whole bunch of fans, all over the place. I was watching this interview with you guys recently where you're talking about finding fans in Russia and all these places around the world.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So now there's that happening, right? So I'm wondering if that equates to, I don't know, does that change anything? Do you think there's going to be expectations, or now do you just you just do your thing, you don't even really worry about that so much?
I think the fan, people who are our fans are ready for anything.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, they're the best, and they're ready for like for anything.
But also, like, it takes us so long to get music out that like we don't stress about like what we're writing about in the moment because it's gonna be like 2 years before it comes out. So like we can always just bail on it if it's weird. So
That's true.
you know, but we don't.
But we don't.
So earlier this year, you won the SOCAN thing, right? It's like 10
True.
grand.
Yeah, yeah.
No matter what happens tonight, you get 3.
Yeah.
Right?
And if all goes really well, 50.
Big 50.
50 plus 10 is 60. What would be like a couple things that come to mind right away that you could do with, you know, you add it up? I mean, if you still have a few bucks left from the SOCAN thing that you could do with like that kind of dough.
Well,
jet ski.
Yeah, jet ski. I was gonna say.
Yeah, it would like buy an actual jet ski or like
You know,
buy and return.
yeah, we'll buy a jet ski, we'll test it out, take it back. Honestly, if we actually ever did win the Polaris Prize, like I think we'd buy some reckless stuff. Because like
some
50
reckless stuff.
grand.
Give some to charity.
Yeah, we
Right.
give some to charity, recklessly.
And I've heard you say before you want to make a $1
Recklessly.
million record one day, right? I mean, you could
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
know, throw it in the budget. Well, I can't wait to hear what's next, and especially the performance that's coming up later on tonight.
It's gonna be fun.
So, you know, give them heck out there. Let it rip. Have fun. Congrats. Best of luck for
Thank you.
Hey, thank
you know,
you.
tonight. And I can't wait. I know that coming up, we're going to be hanging out with Jean-Michel Blais, Snotty Nose Rez Kids as well. And I think up next out there, U.S. Girls is going to perform. Let's check that out.
This is the 2018 Polaris Music Prize Gala presented by CBC Music. Just want to say a special hello to the folks at home watching at cbcmusic.ca. I assume you're sitting there on your couch in your ball gown and tux eating cheesies, just like everyone in this room. By the way, a round of applause for the cheesies. I was here yesterday for rehearsals. It was an actual line item on the schedule, cheesy delivery. CBC Music is proud to bring you tonight's event and live stream. If you missed anything tonight, we'll have highlights and individual performances up at cbcmusic.ca after the gala. Up next is second-time shortlisters U.S. Girls. They've put together something amazing for us tonight to talk about their nominated album, In a Poem Unlimited. From Gang Gang Dance, here is Lizzie Bugazzos.
The thing I like about Meg the most is really her instrumentation. I mean, she has so much happening in the actual composition of the songs that it makes me excited about music again. She's definitely an old soul. I feel like she's like a 60s child. Like Pearly Gates, mother, 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 you know, like there is a lot of soul in the album. Through the lyrics and the atmosphere that she's creating is sort of like being stuck in an after hours joint where everything's a little bit frayed and there's a sense of disarray. And she's bold, it's relevant, and it questions what's happening right now at this time. And a lot of artists are afraid to take that on. And I don't think she's afraid of anything.
walked in, paperwork in hand. They were tan from the trip, and they'd seen the judge and heard him out. Wasn't looking good for us. What about us? But like some roadside babe with a bag in hand, I could do anything for Peter asked for more chance to be an angel in his eyes. Seemed to be the safe bet, so I closed my eyes and I opened my gates wide. Peter came and said, "Let me say, give it the gates, give it up, you're just something started. Never be safe, give it the gates, give it up, you're just something started. I promise it's not over, and so now I'm gonna stop show. I get to be what I say, and I'll be here because I ain't been in here today. I was definitely in his bed, but Peter bragged he was moving out. He almost knew the right to take a bite. He practiced every single night, and it failed him yet. He'd been doing it a long, long time. And Peter just does wherever Peter lies. Be safe if you're in the gates. Give it up. You're just something never be safe if you're in the gates. Give it up. You're just something
Ladies and gentlemen, U.S. girls. That was incredible. I was just standing off to the side of the stage like this for that entire thing. Pierre Kwenders, partner, and Jeremy Dutcher are coming up. But first, let's catch up with the Weaves, who are sitting down for an interview with host of CBC's Drive, Richter Fry.
Yeah, thanks, Raina. You're right. I'm hanging out here with, what, half of Weaves?
Yeah.
And we're chilling.
We're chilling.
We're chilling on the couch, and I want to congratulate you on a couple things. The nomination, of course.
Thank you.
2 in a row, which is something. We'll come back to that. I want to congratulate you on your performance earlier, because that was bonkers. And, well, you know, just everything. I mean, it seems like, you know, things are really going your way these days. Where were you when you got the news about this shortlisting? Remember the moment? You're on the road, did you say?
I would say maybe we were on the road.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of summer festivals this summer.
But it wouldn't have been announced in the summer. It would have been when we were maybe in America.
So in short, you know, it's like a general feeling of pride rather than knowing that exact moment.
I would say somewhere in the USA.
Sure.
Yeah.
For the sake of this anecdote.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right before we came up over the border and heard you on the radio.
Oh, right. Well, I'm happy to welcome you back. And you know, I'm sure someone has mentioned this to you, that this 2 shortlistings in back-to-back years never happened before, right? History.
Well, with Drake, I think.
Oh,
We were told that Drake is the only one who's had back-to-back.
Maybe he
I
didn't have
don't know.
back-to-back. Maybe he's just
Well,
been back.
I tweeted at Polaris, and then they said Drake's the only other one.
I do seem to remember that he's been on the short list a couple times. Anyway, it's super
Also,
cool.
he was at my semi-formal, so we're the same age, and he was at my semi-formal, but he wasn't Drake yet, and he was dating my friend Milena, and I was like, man, Drake's here. So, like, we have a lot of things. He's from Weston, which is also where I'm from. So we have, like,
And
a
that's
lot
what
of...
this tattoo is.
Yeah, this tattoo is a Weston tattoo.
It's a Weston
and,
thing.
My brow's string.
Why is it a Weston thing? Because they made bikes there?
So they made penny farthings in Weston, and, like, Drake is also from Weston, and Rain Maida is also from Weston.
I wonder
so
if Drake has ever ridden one of those things.
I would hope.
Yeah.
That's probably how he
I mean,
gets
it
to
makes
his
sense
gigs.
to me. It just makes perfect
I
sense.
mean, have you?
No. I'm not from Weston.
Do you cycle? Do you
yes.
cycle?
Yes, avidly.
Ah.
Yeah, every day to
Where
work.
do you live?
In the NX.
Oh, you
So
live...
it's a 20-minute bike ride to work every day.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But it's
That's
downhill on the
pretty
way.
It's
beautiful.
downhill all the way, getting back home, uphill all the way.
Do you have...
It's always uphill on the way home.
I don't know if this is weird, but do you have kids?
No, not, no.
Okay, because it was like, I always wonder, like, I don't have kids either, but, like, having the kids on the back.
Yeah, it's a thing, right? Like, I see that. I wonder, would I be the guy with the kids on the bike?
No,
But I
because
don't
you're too
know.
cautious, and I am too.
It freaks me out.
I like
frankly,
the
it
Dutch
scares me.
style
I
with the
think
kids in the
musician-
bucket on the front.
Yeah, but
like a
musicians
wheelbarrow.
are too, like, anal to, like, ever have a kid in the back.
Just ride on the side roads.
Just buy a car.
Buy a car. Get rich, buy a car.
Anyways.
So, I want to talk a little bit about everything, but your performance tonight.
Looked baggy.
I know we're, like,
We look good. We look good.
Looked a bit
Legs
baggy.
are really
Looked a
showing.
bit baggy.
Yeah, your performance tonight was great.
Oh.
And very exciting. I'm amazed at how quickly it seems you're able to, like, go there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how. I mean, were you warming up backstage? I mean, you set the show off. Did you have to kind of get yourself into the zone first?
I warmed up my ears. A big thing for me now is, like, I massage my ears.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because I was looking up, yeah, like, vocal coaches, and they said, like, to relax your jaw. It's really good to, like, So I really try and relax my jaw, and also I've been, like, following a lot of, like, angel spiritual people, and they say, like, to massage your neck and say, I am changing. I am changing. I am changing. I am changing.
I am changing.
I am changing.
I don't feel it.
You have to say, I'm changing, I guess.
I'm changing. I'm changing. And so that's what I do. But also just talking.
You were going through the lyrics, too.
I will say, talking to people like that are performing calms the nerves.
Do you get nervous?
Yes, I get so nervous at these things.
These things. Normal shows, not so much?
A little bit, but, like, this is different because live TV
Yeah.
and people, like, that haven't seen you. I don't know, it's another bag of bones.
And
so
we were doing a quiet song first.
Yeah, we're doing a
Right.
quiet song. We've
Which
never
is a bit
performed
like,
that song
you know,
live before.
Never.
Only on our album recording.
Huh.
We've never
On the
Beautiful,
album,
you nailed it.
we just did 2 takes, and Aaron Goldstein, who played pedal steel,
Yeah.
we didn't rehearse
We
with
didn't
him.
rehearse
He
with
was
him.
in the next studio over, and we were like, come
We're
on
like,
over,
come
and we
over
recorded
and
2
play.
takes.
Really?
Yeah, so
That
we
was
just kind of,
nice.
like, joined. So then tonight we were like, oh, you should play. But then that's what's fun with playing music, because there's a
can wing
level
it
of
and it won't be nice.
improvisation.
Yeah.
And then it's free, and
Yeah.
I don't know, having him allowed a little bit of freedom to it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's flowy. The pedal steel is such a trippy,
Yeah.
beautiful instrument.
You had an advantage, though. You're the only people performing here tonight that also performed last year. Did you take
True.
anything away from that last year that you could kind of use tonight, or was it just a whole new bag of bones?
New
What?
bag of bones.
But then we're more chill this year.
More chill, but, like, I would say the nice thing is just, like, meeting artists backstage and, like, talking to them and having this, like, communal moment, because you don't, you know, you're always traveling and you don't always, like, get
Yeah.
to see each other, or, like, you see each other once a year. So it's, like, a really beautiful moment of, like, just hanging out and, like,
Yeah.
being real. But I don't
Being
know.
around other musicians, it just is equalizing, because you're
Yeah.
like,
we're all nuts.
everyone's dealing with the same broken patch chord. Or
Mm.
something.
Yeah. Were you touring with some interesting folks this summer? You mentioned you were on the road. Were you headlining And did you, you know, have some fun folks supporting you and
Yeah.
whatnot?
Yes.
Well, we played a lot of summer festivals. So we
Oh,
actually
well,
played
right, of course. So that's
in
we
Yellowknife
played Yellowknife.
at Folk on the Rocks, and they gave this
and
Yellowknife.
Tanya, who's on our album, also performed, and we did like a really
Little
cool
collab
at the festival. And
so that was cool. And
did
then
you
we
do
got-
Scream or did you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was filming, I don't know if we're, but like,
She
yeah,
was
she was doing something
awesome.
with NFB, and then so she was like, can we record? And we were like, yeah, let's do something fun.
And we just hung out.
And we just hung
Yeah.
out. Stars were there.
She's a quality hang.
Yeah, and Stars were there. I love them.
Oh yeah.
Amy
They're
Milan
a
is-
good hang.
Amy,
They're a good hang.
Good hang, good people.
Amy, I love you.
Yeah, Amy.
She brought me
the nicest.
Yeah.
So
she brought you.
I was gonna like.
She
nah.
brought you what?
Oh no, I was.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say
Abandoned.
anything.
You
that-
are, yeah. Abandoned ship? Yeah.
Oh well, I was on mushrooms, and then Amy, I was like, Amy, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and she was like, you can do everything you want, and I was like, thank you, Amy.
She's
and
a
then
spirit guide.
she brought me in the van and was like, mushrooms are the best, and then I ate like Cheetos and like caramel bar by myself, and I was like, but I don't know, like, what am I doing with my life? And she was like.
She helped you.
Yeah,
Spirit
she's-
guide. It's important to have a spirit
Spirit
guide.
guide.
and
Yeah.
Stars
She's a good one.
always-
And Tanya is also a spirit guide, I would say.
Oh, heavy duty.
Like, we have some, like, okay, Tanya, Amy Milan, Feist.
Yeah.
Spirit guides.
Though, to me, like, the
Yeah.
moments we've had where people have been like, I'm going to break it down for you. Life is life, and fucking live it, and be alive.
Yeah.
So you have Feist, Amy Milan, Tanya Tagak,
This moment now.
this moment now, you.
Here we are.
Here we are, and I have this if you need. It's not Cheetos, but you know we do have the
Okay, I'll have some
snacks.
Smarties.
So, as you've been touring this record, you're getting out in front of people.
Yeah.
This is fun.
You know, the fan base is growing all the time, and you're interacting with people. They're there in your face when you're performing every night. And I'm sure after shows, like you have a chance to talk with people who love what you're doing and so on and so forth. What I want to know is, does that experience change things at all when you think about the path forward? Because I read this interesting quote, maybe from you, Jazz, that you try not to think, right? Especially in the studio,
Yeah, I hate it.
right? So are you going to be able to keep not doing that as this thing grows?
If you eat enough candies
Smarties.
all at once, Smarties all at once, you can, your brain will be expanded and you can power
To
through.
be honest, I hate Smarties, and like this whole moment is.
You were trying to be
pretty
game
uncomfortable.
with the whole show, and see, that's
Because
there. It's-
I'm like, I hate Smarties.
But I guess
I'm doing it.
the idea, the idea that people like saying stuff to us would like change our path or something?
I don't know. I mean, do you think about expectations at all, or do you, again, just try not to think?
Okay.
Well, our expectations are probably higher than everyone else's.
Yeah.
I think probably. So we're like, nah, we don't really like it. You know, we'll
Yeah.
like look back on our stuff and be like, I don't like how this
There's an
sounds. You know,
there's
we're
an
always
internal
like,
compass that you're like, you know, I think like our band is free, but at the same time, like,
we're uptight.
it's uptight in
We're
a certain
uptight.
way that like you care about what's going on, and like I want the show to be good, so I will definitely
yeah.
give a dirty look. If Zachy, our bassist,
He
he's
didn't blow it tonight.
He didn't blow it tonight, but he's having some pedal troubles,
problems. Oh.
and I'm like, I don't care if you have pedal problems, but like, not tonight. And like,
Not
this is
tonight,
deep
Zachy.
musician stuff, pedal problems.
pedal problems drive me nuts because I'm like,
Because he didn't. He's
No,
a
every
great
ni-
musician.
yeah, but then every
the
night-
gear is going nuts.
it's like,
Does it take you out of it, kind of, when something like that happens?
you know, it doesn't, but I like to bring sass to it. So I'm just, I
Yeah.
look at him and I'll be like,
yeah.
tonight I gave him a dirty look because you know what?
During the set?
Yeah, because he, it was during.
Oh, we did a weird harmony.
Yeah, and well, yeah. But I looked at him and I was like, no, because I was like, I have no time for that. But I think that
What
also.
did he do?
It was during. It might have been during.
It's good to get really specific about what
Yeah, it
we
might have-
think went wrong.
We're getting
It was-
real here.
But
it
this
was
is
like
actually this is as real as it
sometimes-
gets.
Okay, I love our band. I love them so much. They're so talented. But you're putting on a show, like get it together. So sometimes I'll look at him and just be like,
Yeah.
is this a joke?
Everyone's giving looks to each
And
other.
I know, like,
Well,
I think
you're getting
we're-
looks
Yeah,
to
you're
you
getting
to
looks
wrap
to you
this
to wrap
thing
it
I'm getting
on.
this thing.
You're getting.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Now, what about for you? Like when you were playing, would
He's
you
gotta
be
wrap
like,
it up.
Would you be like, Did you have some tude with the stuff?
I was alone by myself. So I only have myself to give the sass to. No. Solo styles.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't notice. You sounded great tonight.
I'm just
you blew me
with
away.
the CN rail.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought this in Washington.
It's pretty cool. What?
Yeah, yeah. In the town where they filmed Twin Peaks, I bought this hat.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Whole other story.
I was wondering if it's a subliminal, like, you like this straight and narrow,
yes.
like, for real.
We're going to go with that. I like that. Hey, good hanging out with you guys. I wish we could go on forever. Good luck. You know, we're getting close. 50,000 bucks up for grabs. What? We're going to be, we'll know our winner soon. But before we get to that, Jeremy Dutcher's about to perform. I can't wait to see this. It's going to be good.
Devil. Peace.
Live from the historic Carlu in Toronto, this is the 2018 Polaris Music Prize Gala, presented by CBC Music. CBC Music is proud to support Canadian artists like the ones you're seeing on this stage tonight. And now, it is on to another live performance. Here to tell us more about Jeremy Dutcher's nominated album, Wolastoqiyik, Lintuwakonawa, is culture critic and the first director of Canada's new Indigenous Screen Office, Jesse Wente.
Hearing Jeremy's record for the first time, I cried. So much of what Indigenous artists are doing these days is beyond just the simple art that they create. These are acts of reclamation, of preservation, recovery. And so when I hear something like Jeremy's record, I hear the resilience of our peoples. And what I really hear when I listen to Jeremy is I hear the future. Art like this is important because they preserve, but they also contemporize. They also reveal that we aren't gone, that we're very much here and in the now. You are hearing the modern version of people speaking to this land for thousands of years. And Canadians should listen very closely, because this is a language, this is a sound that not only they should cherish, but they should get used to as well.
Thank you, Jeremy Dutcher. The Jeremy Dutcher's band as well. What I'm pretty sure was a life-changing experience for pretty much everyone who just saw that. That was incredible. Jeremy Dutcher. CBC Music's Rich Fry is standing by with Jean-Michel Blais. But first, let's take a look back at last year's winner, Lido Pimienta, and her gala performance of La Capacidad.
Tú tienes la capacidad, tú de hacerme reír, de hacerme llorar de felicidad. Y yo, aunque estés aquí, tengo identidad, personalidad. Y yo, aunque estés aquí, tengo identidad.
Lido Pimienta, last year's winner, amazing performance. I'm Rich, we're hanging out in the round room with shortlisters all night, and I'm hanging out with my man Blais right now. Jean-Michel, it was an amazing performance earlier. I was really curious to see what you were going to do. I kind of wanted to know what sort of equipment you were going to have on stage, and I don't know what it is. I bet you hear this or you see this all the time, but there's something about seeing you get up off that bench and get in there and play your instrument in, unconventional ways, I guess, ways that a lot of us aren't used to seeing. There's just something really thrilling about that. Did you always have that sort of relationship with your instrument where you weren't limited to?
I've always wanted to go beyond, I think. There are many ways, like contemporary music offers like different ways. You can play with your arms and you can go underneath and all that. This is nothing new, right? I think what's new is to bring it in a more accessible way for popular auditory, for everyone, rather than really like a special kind of public. And it's also really exciting. To me, this instrument hasn't been explored enough. We remain a lot with the white and black keys. There's so many places to hit and scratch, and so I love to do it. And I know I can feel it. It's exciting. You can hear he's standing up. And I really don't want to take this on me. I'm not a creator of that at all. I do it my way. Short songs, accessible with emotion. I think that's why it speaks to people. Yeah. But it's exciting for me too, because suddenly I'm a harpist. Yeah, right. I'm not a pianist. Yeah. And this instrument has been there's been so many things to be done, and also now with the electronic on that too. It's just it feels like I can still have this as my main instrument and go really away from it for a couple albums still. You know what I mean? There's so much to do. It's really exciting. And it seems to me when I listen to your music and I watch you perform, and I think I've heard you talk about this a little bit, but you basically use the instrument to speak in a way, right? Yeah, I think obviously there are no lyrics, right? Yeah. So I think it's so hard for me just to give a title, because then it restricts the meaning. And what I love about instrumental music, it's universal. You can project yourself, you can find your own meaning in it, and that's what's been the case for years also. And I think I could tie into my own life for about, for this period when you're a teenager and you don't know how to express things, and you live stuff that you know what to do with. Piano was the place for me to be and confess. And so my relation to this instrument was a lot about like a diary, I was really finding, and I think it goes beyond language, because language limits somehow. That's why poetry exists. But even away from that, I think there's this possibility to express something that you would feel similar. They made incredible studies about. Would you think this, the particular chord would remind you of this or this word, and 90% of people on Earth would feel this instead of in that. It's really interesting how it communicates something universal, that there's something powerful to it. So I really feel I'm saying sometimes something clearer by instrumental music than, I have a huge admiration for people writing lyrics, because I just don't know. There's a song on the album I'm singing, and it's created language. It was not supposed to be there. I've been convinced, hard to put in there. And I was like, okay, but my voice is still an instrument. Yeah. It's still, it's beyond language. I think the piano for me in instrumental music now is this place where I can speak more without uttering a word, So when you're exploring the other parts of the instrument beyond just the keys, are you in a way searching for words and things to express that you can't find on the keyboard, kind of? I don't know. On one hand, I feel like I'm limited. I have just those two hands. So, I just realized my left leg was kind of bored. Right. I was like, why not giving it its own so tonight's performance, the first song piece I played, I have to. It's like an organist. That's not new again. It's like a contemporary organ. It's just it's a MIDI controller rather than an organ underneath, and playing on top of it and all this. To me, it's controlling. I could write down for instruments. I'm just what's the limit I can do myself? So then I can really delegate, like ask other people to do the rest. I mean, I still feel I can do much more with the computer. Like it's infinite now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that because I know you're using some software and stuff in the creation of this album that you're nominated for tonight, right? And so I guess what I wondered was, as you were using the technology and exploring different ways, you know, that you can employ the piano in the studio, like, were you thinking ahead of time, I need to make sure that I'm later going to be able to play this live, or did you not think about it and then realize when you're finished, okay, now I have to figure out how I'm going to do this?
I've been asked so many times by friends, how are we going to do it live?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to think about it.
Right.
I want to be like really in my creative mood, and I'll see.
Figure it out later.
Yeah, maybe I should have checked before. I must admit, sometimes like, I have no idea how I'm going to do it. But it really forced me to cover myself and find new ways to play things live. So everything is different. And it creates suddenly a show there's a lot of improvisation to it. And the whole show I'm talking about. And all the songs are thought differently. I rewrote parts because I had to. Because there was no way to redo it. And I never want to press push, have a playback, and sitting there waiting for the piano to come in, right?
Yeah, right.
So I really wanted to be doing the most as I could. So yeah, and then when I talk about infinity, it's like when I started, I'm working with Ableton mainly, and so
which I think of as like a sort of a DJ's tool almost.
Yeah, I don't know. It came to me through CFCF, who did an EP before with. He uses Ableton. Yeah. Then I shouldn't say that, I guess, on TV, but I found like a cracked version of Ableton, and whoops, I started working with.
I won't tell anyone.
I bought it eventually, and to put it on, and then I started working on that, and it just like you can put infinite layers of whatever.
Yeah.
So imagine I couldn't sleep for a full week, just like reworking my own piano, reversing, distortioning it, like extending it, like you know. And I'm bad. I mean, I didn't know nothing about
that. It's a fun tool though to just
you make it your own.
With,
And now I realize you can put it vertical. You can put it like vertical too instead of horizontal. So you can control. You can loop stuff. It's just like it's just so exciting.
So it was CFCF who introduced you to this? Were you thinking along these lines before at all? Or?
Yeah, I just didn't know how to do it. And there's always in my mind was like, if Mozart or like if Chopin was alive or whoever, they wouldn't stick on like, I don't think they would stick on the grand. They would really be hands-on with those software and making music with what are the tools of our age. Yeah. So that was the idea, to go beyond my first record, but like really have something that's more 21st century, and some pieces sometimes tonight towards the end of Hypocrite, but also other stuff on the album. When I play it live, it's almost, you feel like, I guess you want to stand up like me and start dancing, and it's like, where's the border? Is it classical music? Is it pop? Is it electronic? I like to question this because we live in our little boxes, and I think it's interesting to open them. You know?
Another thing that I think is interesting that you do, a box that you open on your recordings, which for me seems a little bit, you know, outside my limited knowledge and experience with classical music. But when I think about it, you mentioned Mozart, you know, earlier. I think about, you know, contemporary, you know, conductors and orchestras, you know, performing and recording this music. It seems that there is often a real pursuit of perfection.
Oh yeah.
But it seems that you've kind of opened the door to allow things to be imperfect and to improvise, as you were mentioning earlier.
You say my music is full of mistakes, basically. I'm kidding. No, agreed. And it was a difficult, because I think that's why from the moment I quit conservatory to record my first album, there are maybe 10 years to accept imperfection, to accept, sometimes like even tonight, I'm like, oh, I missed this, it's not perfect. It's great to have an ideal, but this shouldn't block you from doing what you want to do. Yeah. And I think my first album with all those sounds, and this one, I made so many mistakes with Ableton, importing, like extracting, like, and so many of those mistakes became part of it. It becomes like improvising with the software, improvising what's going on with the crowd. You know, tonight I had the pleasure to have like a super quiet crowd. It's beautiful. Yeah. Sometimes people talk, you know, sometimes the phone rings. I go in, I just take the phone and I answer for fun. You know, it's just like, you need to deal with it. Yeah. And I think it gives something more human, and it speaks more to people. I've heard so many amazing interpretation, classical, that are perfect. And it's great, and this needs to exist. But maybe I'm just creating something different.
The first time I experienced something like this was, I guess it was maybe, well, a little more than 10 years ago, I guess, when I first heard Gonzalez, when he made his first solo piano album. And even a little bit before that, he and I were living in Paris at the same time. We were friends, and I can remember going to his house a little bit, and he was telling me about some of his ideas. And he was even miking the piano in such a way that it would pick up sounds in the air. He even wanted to hear the sound of his fingers hitting the keyboards and stuff like that. And I understand Chili Gonzalez, he's someone whose work you're well familiar with, to say the least, and who you like the stuff he's done,
Big influence, and became a friend through it. One day he reached to me and was like, hey, I love your album, and then we're gonna meet next week in Paris, because I'm playing there, and he's opened the doors a lot. He has like this interesting mix of classical and jazz background.
Yes.
He's creating those beautiful...
And hip-hop, right?
And hip-hop too, that you can hear, and then the way he produces some album too.
Yeah.
But from his piano playing and recording, he really opens doors to... and then we receive it. I mean, I don't know, I feel like I came in like 10 years after, so this is what before. So now I have to take this and go like much further.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel, you know. And I just recorded like a little some track, like the Mushaboo Feist cover is an example of it was upright. We put the mics in there, and there was people in the room. I mean, not for this one, but for other takes. And we just take whatever comes with it, and it gives you know, in my understanding of it, it brings me back even to Glenn Gould, Canadian pianist, amazing guy, who was often caught singing while playing. It was a problem, and then they started to mix it down so we don't hear it. And when I hear it now, I just want to hear him more singing. It was part of his charm, you know, to have this voice on top of it. And I think that's the way music affects us. We have to embrace it.
I love it. Thelonious Monk, you know, you hear that. Oscar Peterson, I think, a little bit.
Exactly.
You would hear him as well. You know, I think, just coming back to Chili Gonzalez for a sec, I think of you as similar but completely different in a way, because for years before he released the solo piano albums, he made these hip-hop albums for many years. And so he already had that toolbox, if you will, and then said, okay, now it's time for me to just explore this piano stuff. So he already, you know, knew about a DJ's approach to making music and software and sampling and all that stuff, whereas you, in the beginning, were kind of coming from more of a sort of formal, classical thing, and then began to explore, this idea of, Ableton and the software and that sort of thing, which to me is interesting, that in a way you kind of land in a similar spot, but coming at it, from two
completely
different angles.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge electro fan. I've danced so much in Berlin, just like taking everything from it. And at one point I was like, why couldn't I try it my way? And merging it with, that's where it came from musically, probably. That's my culture, I think, a lot. Rather than hip hop, if you compare to Chile. But still, it's also like why sometimes I'm like, why we don't learn those softwares in conservatory? I mean, I guess it's not the place for it, but sometimes I feel there's so many things when I arrive in the actual world that we don't hear of, we don't study, and I wish we'd get more from that, but it's so exciting on the other hand. You feel like I have so much. What about if I start writing for chamber ensemble or like a whole orchestra and a computer, and like what if, there's just so many.
So you think this could be in the future, maybe even going further with all this?
I wish, I would love that.
I mean, you can be the guy, you're starting the conversation, I think, of teaching this, letting people know, like, look, there's no rules or limits on this, like experiment, try these things.
I'd love that, and dialogue with all the repertoire of classical music. There's so much stuff been composed that's been forgotten. But what if you like this thing and you loop it? I mean, hip hop did it, and electronic did it too, but what if you integrate it like...
Some people would freak out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of exciting in a way,
It is.
right? I mean, ruffle the feathers a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, it's... there's two ways. Either you're ruining like a tradition of perfection, or you're making a bunch of people introduced to something different. A lot of people come to me after a show and they say, I started playing piano through you, or like replaying piano, like, would you suggest me some classical composers? And here are the ones I think you should start with. And there's just this whole world beyond. I know nothing from, like I know this, it's just so vast.
You're right.
And I just want to pick from that and you know, and bring it back to the people. I feel that's maybe the place where I'm standing now.
When people ask you that, like where to start, even if you were going to give people one composer, where do you tell them to go?
I think Chopin is a really good place to start. It speaks to us. Almost everything he wrote. I think Erik Satie is a funny way also. He wrote like really contemporary, funny. Everything about him is he's a character, and the music we know and the music we don't know from him is lovely. I think these are my great inspiration.
I like that. Yeah. Hey, really good talking to you.
Likewise.
Really good.
Yeah, cool.
Again, congratulations. Good luck. We're pulling for you, and thanks for spending some time hanging out. I think I see Snotty Nose Rez Kids hanging out over yonder. We're gonna hang out with them next, and I think over there, Partner's about to hit the stage. So let's check that out.
Amazing.
Welcome back to the Polaris Music Prize Gala at the Carlo in Toronto. Right now, we want to give a shout out to everyone at Toronto radio station Indie 88 for their support of the gala and independent music in this city. Thank you so much for all that you do. So many performances tonight, and there's just 2 more to go to speak about Pierre Kwenders' album MAKANDA, At the End of Space, The Beginning of Time. From 2011 Polaris Prize winners, Arcade Fire, here is Win Butler.
I just think it's a really fully formed piece of work. I mean, everything from the color scheme to the aesthetics of the merch to the way the stage show is presented to the way the record sounds. As it becomes easier to produce music, people don't put as much time into the whole aesthetic vision of the whole thing. Well, I just think he's like really fully formed as an artist. It's kind of this soup of a lot of different influences. You know, there's like some Prince in there, and there's some Congolese influences and electronic influences and hip hop influences, and it all kind of makes sense, you know? I mean, I think that's what great artists do, is they're able to take these different influences and kind of bring them into harmony, and you don't even really question it. And you look at an artist like Pierre, who made this incredible record, like aesthetically completely defined, and he's not signed to a label outside of Canada. It's just insanity.
balayo babuti bayo baye bakinga olingo na biso bandaki na kelasi tolinganaki koleka mwamba na mikate olingo keye safari ya maisha tulifanya pamoja hapa mimi mwenyewe wewe uko mbali ulienda ukasema utarudi ulienda ukasema mwaka umoja
kolika na nzela kobanga te ntango akoyebisa bino likambo oya ye boyoka ye loba likambo toyoka sanola lisolo toyoka bakisa motole tolandango loba likambo toyoka sanola lisolo toyoka batata bamama balobi bana toyoka likambo yango bayaya baleki balingi kaka kolanda bisengo yango batata bamama bayaya baleki banoko bakoko bilingi bakolo batata bamama bayaya baleki banoko bakoko bilingi bakolo batata bamama bayaya baleki banoko bakoko bilingi bakolo batata bamama bayaya baleki manoko bakoko bilinge bakolo Texas Plexus Nexus okay Nakoloba na yo, nakoyebisa yo, nakokabela yo, motema na ngai. Fais-en bisou, moqué sur le cou, un French un peu fou, le monde est à nous. Fais-moi des bisous, c'est bien qu'on s'en fout, des câlins partout, le monde est à nous. Nakoloba na yo, nakoyebisa yo, nakokabela yo, motema na ngai. Doucement. Ok. Aïe, aïe, aïe. Malembe, 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 malembe. Doucement, 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 doucement. Malembe, 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 malembe. Doucement, 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 doucement. Des gamos, des gamos, des gamos, des gamos, des gamos, des gamos, des gamos. Des gamos, 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 malembe, 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 des gamos, sangi, sangi, elekaya, sika, bigo, baloba, mama, ikamo la moto tete. Picamo la moto, 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 picamo la moto. Hey, you there? Stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. It's time to party. L'enjaillement s'en vient. Que vous tout le monde. Maman, le feu est mis dans la place. Nous allons danser. Toujours après le travail, mon bien sûr. Adieu les ennuis du passé. Célébrons la vie ensemble. Maintenant place à l'enjaillement. Vanilla, Tolanda, Shala kuna izopela baninga sofina to tango kuna kazola epela onjaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo onjaimo abaimo.
How is everyone feeling after that? Pierre Kwenders bringing the dance party to the 2018 Polaris Music Prize. How about all of the performers tonight? Could you give it up one more time for everyone you've seen so far tonight? There's just one more to go. But first, here is host of Drive on CBC Music, Richter Fry, talking to Snotty Nose Rez Kids.
Thanks, Raina. Snotty Nose Rez Kids in the house. I'm sitting down with Young D,
and
Young Tribes. It's good to have you here. Congrats on not only the nomination, but on an amazing performance tonight.
Yeah,
oh, man.
Thank you.
I want to ask you a little bit about that because I was, I got a little background information earlier. The people you were performing with tonight, did I hear you, like you met at an award show a year ago or something like that?
Yeah, not even a year ago.
It was like back in May.
Back in May, and so how did all this come together then? Are you, where are they from?
They're from the Yukon.
From the Yukon, yeah. And so, did you just say, hey?
No, actually, it was, we were all chilling at the IMA Music Awards.
Yeah.
We were nominated for Best Hip Hop Album of the Year. And they pretty much opened up the whole festival, the whole show. And they blew us out of the water.
Yeah.
And like growing up, like we've always been rap artists and wanted to do this, you know?
Yeah.
And we always said, yo, we want to be like, you know, like Tribe Called Red, but with a West Coast feel.
Yeah.
So when we seen them do their performance, we were like, yo, we need to work with these guys. We need to work with these guys.
So did you work with them before tonight?
Yeah, actually.
Once before, yeah.
Just a quick collaboration, because like that night we did the official after party of the IMAs.
Yeah.
And we did a performance there, and then they were like, yo, Snotty Nose Rez Kids, we gotta work with those guys.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah. So then we seen them at a festival that we performed at out in Darwin in the Yukon.
Yep.
And we were just like, yeah, let's do a little collaboration here and see where it goes.
Yeah, yeah.
And like it was amazing. And then we were shortlisted after, and then we were like, yo, let's do something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so, did you get together kind of somewhere before this to work it out, rehearse, and?
Yeah, we actually got like a little rehearsal spot.
Yeah.
The other day, I think yesterday, actually.
At Links in Toronto.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
So you rehearsed for the first time just yesterday?
Yeah.
And like we just worked out all the kinks and like figured out when they could do all the certain cues and like really come in and really do their thing and.
Wow.
No, it was a good night, man. It was a fun
I would have
night.
thought you'd done that 100 times before.
I mean, it's like, it's hard to like link up and like really do rehearsals when you live in different provinces.
Whoa, yeah, of course, yeah.
It's been a busy summer too, so for everyone. So.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I'm curious to know where you were and what you were doing when you got the news about the, shortlist nomination.
Oh man, I stayed up all night just waiting for it.
Oh yeah.
So like it released at like 10 a.m. Eastern time, so it was like 7 a.m. back home.
You were in BC.
Yeah, BC. Yeah. I'm nocturnal, so I stay up all night.
Right.
Night.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting on Twitter. Just like, when's it gonna come out? It's 7:05. Like, when's it gonna come out? And then I finally seen the tweet. I was just like, oh my god.
So you found out on Twitter. You didn't get a phone call, or?
No, I found out on Twitter.
No, I got a phone call because
you got a phone call. I found out on Twitter.
Yeah, actually, our manager Brody, he hit me up right away. I was just waking up by my like alarm set and stuff, but like my internal alarm went off even though I was up late because I couldn't sleep. My internal alarm went off, and then I get the call from Brody. He's like, "You guys made the shortlist. You guys made the shortlist." I was like, "What?"
So by the sounds of it to me, the way I interpret that then, if you're sitting and you're waiting and kind of, you know, thinking this could happen, this should happen, you knew you made a special record.
Oh, man.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Like the moment we made it, like not the moment we made it, the moment we finished it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when like we saw it as a whole.
Yeah.
Me and him knew it was special. Like it was like.
So how did it differ from, you know, anything you had done to that point?
Yeah, like the skits, well, like it's nothing like the first album. The first album was something special to us as well, and it helped us get through a lot of different things that we're going through in our lives.
Yeah.
But that second album, like right when I came up, like we came up with the idea of like putting those skits together and like really reclaiming all these negative stereotypes that are put on us as Indigenous people within Canada and United States.
Yeah.
It really kind of just had to like fall in place. So like we came up with the skits, and then after that we came up with the songs.
Oh yeah.
So we kind of did it like backwards. You know?
Really?
Yeah, we kind of built it around like a theme, a general theme that we like wanted to hit, and just like really exploited what those like connotations that were put towards us when we were all kids, like things that are just like told to us as kids.
Right.
You know, like you're savages, you're Redskins, all those crazy things.
You know what it kind of makes me think of? I don't know what you think of this, but I think I'm a little older than you guys. Just a little.
Yeah, maybe.
And when I was in high school, Straight Outta Compton came out.
Oh yeah. So definitely older.
Yeah. And you know, when I think about the skits and a lot of the message and kind of reclamation that was going on with that record, even with like the name of the group and everything else, and then I heard your stuff, I thought, man, this has taken me right back.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would say I didn't even have that same feeling until I heard your record again, because hearing NWAs, I mean, that was a world-changing thing, right?
Yeah, totally.
And it was like really exciting because you knew something radical was happening. That doesn't come along every day. The next time I had that feeling was when I heard your record.
Wow.
In a lot of ways, you know, I mean, I think there's like a lot of really interesting parallels going on. I don't know if you guys heard anyone mention anything like that before, but for me, it came to mind right away.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I mentioned that as food for thought. Here's another thing I picked up on your record, though. I get the sense, we talked about this a little bit before we came on here, but that you're sports guys, sports fans. You were mentioning that you played basketball, that you guys were on a team and you kicked everyone's ass.
No.
We like to think so. But,
we won some basketball games.
Some, we lose some.
But a lot of sports references on the record, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was in one of the videos, I saw a jacket, maybe you were both wearing or you were wearing, about racist sports teams logos.
Yeah.
Did you happen to hear about what happened the last time the Cleveland baseball team came to Toronto? Did you hear about this?
No.
This year, for the first time, and only in Toronto, they wore a different jersey where the Chief Wahoo mascot didn't appear on it, and it's only here. For the first time, they said, nope, we're not going to wear it. And I have a feeling that it's because, for whatever reason, there was more discussion about this problem here than in a lot of other places.
Yeah.
And
that there is baseball, maybe.
Yeah. And maybe you heard Jerry Howarth, who was the kind of announcer for the Blue Jays years ago, made this decision. I'm not going to even say the name of this team.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And there were protests and demonstrations here, and especially in the postseason, I think it was a year or two ago, you know, a lot of people were saying, you know, we have a serious problem with this. So interestingly, but only in Canada for some reason, they said, okay, we're not going to. I mean, there's still a lot of problems. There's still the name and everything else, but I don't know, they eliminated Chief Wahoo.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I mean, I know there's a long way to go, but what's your reaction when you hear something like that?
Oh, we were happy, you know, like we got a buddy out in Vancouver. He runs a company called Section 35, and those jackets that you seen that we were wearing in that video is Skoden probably, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Those were Kill Mascots, Save the People, and it was kind of like a movement that started going around like us trying to eliminate these racist stereotypes within sports, because it's just not right. You seen the outrage that people had when they put Caucasian on the shirt, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like asked backwards, like why is it okay to have Indians on there when people are so offended about having Caucasians on a shirt, you know?
Yeah, it's unbelievable to me that somehow this is like still a thing. So, you know, as a fellow sports fan, even I appreciate that you're, you know, doing the work and, you know, raising awareness and trying to get this change happening, because, you know, it's way overdue. Another thing I wanted to mention, just sort of off the top, and because, you know, we saw your performance, and then just before that there was the testimonial from Strongbow.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Had you met him before?
No, like he's just like a homie, you know? Like,
yeah,
like I guess he heard the record and just really liked it. And we're gonna be on a show tomorrow morning, and same with the songwriter circle for Polaris.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he's been putting us on for a while, you know, like he actually quote Strongbow, Snotty Nose Rez Kids, my favorite band in the country right now. On Indigenous Day.
That was July 1st,
July 1st,
actually.
Yeah. It was special.
So you're going to be on a show tomorrow. Have you met him face to face yet?
No.
So tomorrow you'll meet him for the first time.
I'm super stoked on that.
Yeah.
Like my mom's a huge fan, huge George fan. She told me to.
You're gonna have to take a picture.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're both gonna have to, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everyone back home will be excited about that.
Totally.
And speaking of back home, there was another thing I wanted to talk with you about, because I know fairly recently you moved to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Like how long ago?
Beginning of September.
Just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of like moved back and forth.
Oh, you
like
have?
From like north in the summer, Vancouver in the winter.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just moved back to the city in September.
Now the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because the other day I was looking at photos of, you know, where you grew up, which looked, just from the photos, like I haven't been there myself, but small place, and I saw a lot of trees.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, you're in the woods. I kind of grew up in similar circumstances. Looked real nice to me. And now you're in, I mean, you know, you're walking on concrete every day. And you've talked a lot in your songs, and I even have seen it in your videos, about the importance of staying connected to the land, right? And, you know, the connection between even your identity and the land. And so I was curious to know about the challenges of staying connected, you know, when you move into the big city, a concrete kind of place.
Yeah.
You know, how is that? What's that been like? Is that a challenge, or are there ways to navigate that?
Man, you carry it right here, you know, like your home is right here. Like no matter where you go, you carry it right here. So like we're away from home for a little while, but at the same time, it's like our family's like right there with us. We go home every so often, but yeah, like it doesn't matter where we go, our home's right here.
Yeah, and like, with that being said, like it took us leaving home to really appreciate what we had back at home.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like growing up in a small town, when you're surrounded by trees and ocean, all you dream of is the city life.
Right.
But then when you actually get to the city life, it's like, damn, man, I miss home. You know, I miss the calmness and hearing the waves in my backyard and hearing the wind blow through the trees. You don't get that in the city, right?
Yeah.
So
do you think that feeling, because I'm sure that's a very real, strong feeling, is going to be something that you'll channel into kind of new music going forward? I mean, I think you guys already have another album done and ready to go, coming out even before the end of this year, right?
Yeah, we pushed it back a little bit.
Okay,
And we're working on a few EPs, a few projects with some other people, even overseas in Australia.
Oh yeah.
We got some projects coming out with some people out in Calgary, and we got a project coming out with some people up in northern BC that are really close to us in RPM.
Yeah.
But yeah, that project got put back a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be, that album's gonna be like our next thing, you know?
Yeah, I can't wait.
It's gonna be amazing.
Do you think though, that album aside, and we can come back to that, but you know, with the experiences that you're having now moving, you know, into the city, and with the success of you know, everything that you're doing right now, do you anticipate that it's going to like change things at all with like the new songs that you write? Do you feel that things are changing or evolving in any kind of way?
Oh, like every project.
Yeah.
You know, like With the first project, we had a lot of personal stuff to get off our chest.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then once we got that off our chest, our minds became a bit more clear. And then we had like the second album to do, which was just for all the Land Protectors.
Yeah.
And like now that we have everything else that we've said, like, okay, we got what we wanted to say out of the way. Now, this next one's for us. This is just us truly being ourselves to the fullest. And not just being so political, you know, not just being so, you know, like it's just, man, it's just us really showing our true personality.
Yeah,
and who we are as people.
So it sounds like maybe you're having some fun making
Yeah,
this.
and not, exactly. And not necessarily like putting everything else out of the way. Like we still talk our stuff, but we're having a lot of fun with this record.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're still our same like Snotty Nose Rez Kids selves. We're still that like that political drive. We still have those things that we like to talk about, but we're having a lot of fun with this record.
Now, what's interesting, what you were just saying a second ago, is the people that you kind of had in mind when you were making the record that you're nominated for tonight. And with your first record saying, that there was just like a lot of your own stuff that you had to get off your chest. But you found a wider audience, I'm sure people back home must have loved, you must have had a great reaction, to your record back home. But now you're finding fans and working with people all over the world. So, did that come as an unexpected surprise that like a lot of people were really interested in the record, Like
a little bit. Like we knew some people were gonna have some type of feeling towards it.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to be that voice that has gone unheard for too long.
Yeah.
And we knew when we made the record, like we said, like it was like something special, like, and when I finished the record, I was like, this is it, D. This is it.
Yeah.
Like if nothing comes of this record, like, I don't know, like maybe we got to think of something else.
Yeah.
But he's like, no. He like reassured me, like, yo, this is it. So.
Well, like I said right off the top, I felt it as soon as I heard it, like a lot of other people. Congratulations, it's an incredible thing. I can't wait to hear this next one that we were just talking about. We're almost there, man. We're gonna hear who wins this thing in a minute. And so, good luck. We're gonna head back inside here in a sec. I think Partner is up next, and then right after that, we're gonna hear about the winner. So let's take it back inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are moments away from learning the winner of the 2018 Polaris Music Prize. Maybe you can feel the excitement, the electricity in the room, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have one more performance to go from Partner. And here to discuss Partner's In Search of Lost Time is Shamir.
Rock music is dying, right? When things are dying, who's there to revive it? Women and queers. Rock music is dying because it's totally saturated with straight white men, and more as we, become a more open society, queer people are more prevalent and louder, and is constantly looking for representation. What makes a record like theirs so important is that now this generation of queers have that. We're gonna fight for, music and art and things that we feel represented in, and scenes that we typically aren't represented in. I think the record deserves to win because mostly of its hard work and its honesty. Their strength lies in the spirit that they put behind their music. And on top of that, they're still technically really good. They shred. You can do solos for days, but they don't do it to show off.
just like a creature in the sun. Kinda like a dog, but a lucky one. When I'm old and when I know I've had my fun. I hope I feel just like a creature in the sun. Feels just like a creature in the sun. Kinda like a dog, but a lucky one. And I hope when everything is said and done, we all end up as creatures in the sun.
All right, Polaris 2018. How about all those performances? Let's have another round. All of the nice performances. A complete honor to be here on the stage. It's beyond our wildest dreams to be here, taking part in the night.
Checking out the scene, and we walked right past the tavern decorated with a sign going blue and it said open, so we thought we'd step inside. You were standing in the corner when I first laid eyes on you with a couple old guys who were shooting some pool, and I couldn't help but notice how that you really wanted what you know how to do, 'cause you're a holiday. So I want you to take those big hands and put it on my body. You're a hottie. So I want you to take those big hands and well, I looked over at the sea to see just what was going on. She was staring in the corner, she was staring way too long. She told me, showed her if there's one thing that she got to understand, said I got to love a woman who's got some big hair, girl. So won't you take those big hands and put it on my body, you're a hottie. So won't you take those big hands and I want to see all your big gay hands in the air. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me, Mom and Dad. All right, everyone else's Mom and Dad, give it to me, give it to me.
Great gig. Great gig. Love the drums. Great gig. Partner. Give it up for Partner. It's time. It's what you've all been waiting for. Time to reveal the 2018 Polaris Music Prize winner for the Canadian Album of the Year. Before we get to the big prize, though, let's recap the list of nominees. Feel free to applaud. Always, Antisocialites. Jean-Michel Blais, Dans ma main. Daniel Caesar, Freudian. Jeremy Dutcher, Wolastoqiyik, Lintuwakonawa. Pierre Kwenders, MAKANDA at the end of space, the beginning of time. Hubert Lenoir, Darlène. Partner, In Search of Lost Time. Snotty Nose Rez Kids, The Average Savage. U.S. Girls, In a Poem Unlimited. And Weaves, Wide Open. And now, to reveal the winner of the 2018 Polaris Music Prize, it is my pleasure to introduce last year's Polaris Music Prize winner for her album La Papesa, Lido Pimienta.
Do I just open it?
Yeah, just go for it.
Whoever wins, I hope you don't owe OSAP because they'll find you and they'll ask you for their money. Also, before, you know me, you're gonna expect some words from me. But I just have to say it, I'm so glad to see so many melanin. It's a lot of melanin in the room. It's a lot of brown in the room. It's a lot of native in the room. It's a lot of women, it's a lot of queer. It's worth it when you just left your 1-month-old at the house with the baby daddy, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, and the winner for the Polaris Music Prize 2018, Jeremy Dutcher.
All of my people, this is for you. Gazelle Mokamach. Dump. Tatsu Edom. Wizigi Williwin. Chonidagaki. Chonigawas. Naganimitakus. None of this is possible without you.
We'll leave it. Nilla. Canada, you are in the midst of indigenous renaissance. Are you ready to hear? Are you ready to hear the truths that need to be told? Are you ready to see the things that need to be seen? I think this is incredible. I, of course, want to thank so much, first, my people that came here, my team at Valio. We cracked the nut. And everyone that made this work possible. This record is a culmination of 5 years of work, of research, of community engagement, of recording. My producer's here this evening, Buffalo. None of this work is possible without you. You came to me and asked me how I want to make this record, and you did it on my terms. And that's a path forward. So thank you. Everyone, I need you to give a big round of applause to these talented musicians who join me on stage. Greg Harrison, Taya Kasahara, Jonathan MacArthur, and Blanche Israel. I also want to thank all the beautiful nominees, the shortlisters. It's been so beautiful. I know some of you well, and some of you were just meeting tonight. But the work that you do is incredible. Music is changing this land. And what you've seen on this stage tonight, this is the future. This is what's to come. I'll check my notes. I was going real off script there for a minute. But now I feel really bad. You know, it doesn't matter. This is the greatest moment of my life. To do this record in my language and have it witnessed, not just by my people, but people from every nation, from coast to coast, up and down Turtle Island. We're at the precipice of something. Feels like it. So, before we part, I have to acknowledge in English, I already did it in my language, but I'll do it in English too. Mugalit, Maggie Paul, my dear elder, who set me on this path 5 years ago, told me about this archive, and I went to the museum, looked it up, and it inspired this entire album. Maggie, you are the reason for this work. You are a national treasure. You are everything. Thank you. I'll part with this. I do this work to honor those who have gone before. And I lay the footprints for those yet to come. This is all part of a continuum of indigenous excellence, and you are here to witness it. I welcome you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Keep going. No, finish. You won.
I want to also acknowledge you for a beautiful job this evening.
Thank
And
you.
for really practicing my pronunciation.
Could you hear me in the dressing room backstage, just going over and over?
So brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Congratulations, Jeremy Dutcher, your 2018 Polaris Music Prize winner. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Remember to vote for the Slaight Family Polaris Heritage Prize at polarismusicprize.ca. You can relive and share tonight's performances very soon at cbcmusic.ca. Have a great night. Thank you so much.